Misa shakes Jim's hand. Good to see you, she says. All I can think is those fingers were inside me minutes ago. My face burns and I might cry, spontaneously combust, or die of laughter. I can't decide on which one. Oh! Someone. Poor Jim. Oh my god, what the fuck is wrong with you? He didn't do anything to deserve this. Hi, thank you for clicking on this video. I'm Shelby, and this is Shelby Reads. Thank you so much for giving a new booktuber a chance. This is probably my fourth video, I think, that's gonna go up, but I'm trying to plan. I have two jobs, you know. I'm a femme lesbian. I have a beautiful butch wife. We've been together for a long time. I mostly read sapphic books, so if you want to hear more about sapphic books, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, if you're so inclined, please check out my other channel linked below. I am trying to work on a LGBT animated show. It's going to have butch femme representation and butch for butch, trans characters. It's going a little slow right now because, again, I have two full-time jobs. So I'm trying to do this as my hobby, trying to have a fun time, you know, but I am working on it slowly. This room is a disaster right now because I'm getting in a new bookshelf tomorrow and it has to go in the bedroom, which is here. And so I brought in all my TBR books and they're just all in a pile on the floor. It's a nightmare. This room is always under construction. I'm always trying to like get the decorations correct. I think this Halloween I'll hopefully be just about done. I do all my shopping for Halloween. Today I will be talking about Penny for Your Heart by Season Vining. It is the first in a series called Romance in the City. I have to look down at my notes every so often. I can't remember everything. This script is like almost 50 pages. So I read the first and the third one. The third one is called Avery Daniels is Off Limits, and I'm going to get a review on that one out eventually at some point. In this book, the main character Penny is doing her first adult job ever, and she's greeted by a blast from the past, her one-time middle school best friend, Misa. Misa, however, pretends not to recognize her. This book is a second chance adult queer romance. I would like to give you some trigger warnings, so I will be looking down for this because I want to make sure I have everything in here. They were not provided by the author, they were provided by me. Also, I want to mention this book was published in 2023. Almost forgot that part. Trigger warnings are cursing, homophobia, infidelity, misogyny, physical abuse, sexism, sexual assault, sexual content, transphobia, lesbophobia, alcohol, sexual harassment, death, racism, car accident, death of a parent, cultural appropriation, and violence, which there are a couple physical assaults in here. I just wanted to let you know what it was. It's like physical assault. Not using any weapons though. It's using like other body parts. I just want to make sure everyone is prepared before we get into this book. Before we begin, I'm going to give a few disclaimers just to let you know. Number one, this review is not for the author or stands of the author's work. Number two, this review will contain spoilers. I'm going to go chapter by chapter through this book, so if you don't want any spoilers, I would stop here and then maybe come back if you feel like it. Number three, I'm not bashing sapphic books. I understand what an amazing opportunity it is to be able to read all kinds of sapphic books, and I'm of the opinion that gay representation doesn't have to be a home run all of the time. I think we deserve good media and kind of bad media and everything in between. But some sapphic books are just bad. Whether they're problematic or they're just bad writing, they're just bad, and I really want to talk about them because that's what I read. No creative work is above critique and review. I actually saw a really good TikTok recently talking about like why we sometimes give indie authors more protection almost, like people will attack people for negatively reviewing indie authors, and I think that that's not fair. There's some really good indie books out there. We'll get to that in a little bit, okay? Number four, this book makes me angry. If you don't want to see me be angry and like try to make little jokes as best I can, don't watch this. Number five, this is an indie author. We should support indie authors. Just because I didn't like this book doesn't mean that you won't. You can always give it a chance if you want. Please consider buying from a different indie author today. So today, my recommendation for an indie book is Honeybloods by I.S. Bell. It's a sapphic vampire book that I gave 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Maybe hit that up if you want to. With all of that out of the way, let's begin. We start with a flashback from when Penny and Misa were in middle school and they're getting ready to go to a dance. Your dress is beautiful, Misa said. Thanks, I'm mostly stoked that it has pockets. Misa checked her reflection in my full-length mirror and frowned at what she saw. This dress is the worst, she said with a pout. I mean, it looks homemade. I peeked over her shoulder and glanced at her reflection. Well, to be fair, it is homemade. Our first homecoming dance, and I'm in a homemade dress that makes me look like Wednesday Addams. High collars are in, I pointed out. You leave Wednesday Addams out of this. She did not have crazy chemistry with Enid Sinclair for you to be bringing her up like this. Also, her outfit's cute as fuck. Get out of here with that. We learn that they have a list of friend rules, which I think is kind of cute. They're kids. I don't mind that. Although, to be fair, I feel like it's kind of... it feels like their age is like lowered to where they actually would be, because me and the characters were like about the same age when they're doing all of this, and like me and my friends never would have done this, but whatever. We head into the present day where we get this lovely exchange. I stand at the corner of Broadway and West Houston Street waiting for the signal to change. That dress bright enough, honey? Some guy asks. He's grinning as if he knows he's charming and funny and the world deserves to hear his opinion. I bet they can see you from Jersey. If I wanted your unsolicited opinion about my wardrobe choices, I would have fucking asked. Whoa, you kiss your mother with that mouth, Red? No, I kiss yours, I say with a wink. He turns away and faces the street, probably unfamiliar with people calling him out. My yellow dress is reflected in a shop's mirrored storefront window. Twisting back and forth, I watch how the skirt lifts and billows before settling again. Sensible flats with embroidered purple flowers on them and a vintage cardigan complete the look. It's my first day at a new job, and this is as professional as I get. The signal changes, and I hurry through the crosswalk. A woman slides up alongside me and says, well, I love your dress. Thanks, it has pockets, I say. And that pretty much defines New York. For every crude comment, there are equal and opposite compliments. This is the third person I've mentioned my dress pockets to this morning. 2 were in response to compliments, and 1 was just an announcement on the Q train because I felt like in the event of an emergency, everyone should know. I don't believe that this would ever happen. Yellow is a very common color for women to wear. No one gets upset about a yellow dress. Try being full goth in New Hampshire and then get back to me.
But Debbie, what? Pastels?
This is the beginning of what causes me to dub Penny a Manic Pixie dream girl. She just has to be so quirky that it's annoying to everyone around her. I've been to New York City and I've been on public transit. If someone yelled that their dress had pockets unsolicited, I would be scared for my life. I check the time and am grinning when I hit the sidewalk again. The city, the steel, the concrete, the veins of sidewalks and moving pedestrians gives me life like no other place in the world. And I've seen a lot of the world. There is something about the magic of New York that can't be duplicated. It's got life, a throbbing pulse that keeps in time with each step of the joggers in Central Park and each hiss of city bus air brakes. Look, New York City is great. I love it there. I mean, if you're from New Hampshire and people ask you where you're from, you kind of start with Boston and then you move on to New York. So I'm basically from New York. But I swear only people who haven't been to New York, let alone live there, write about New York like this. And the author lives in Louisiana, but she apparently lived in NYC for a time, which really surprised me. Like, New York is wonderful, don't get me wrong, but it's also a cesspool. 2 things can be real.
I guess you really do love me. And all this time I thought you wanted me dead.
2 things can be real.
We find out that this is Penny's first real job. She's been out traveling since graduating from high school, and then she went to college for the last 4 years. Where the money came from for these travels, we'll find out later.
Oh, look at Mr. Moneybags over here.
She gets into the building, gets on the elevator, is annoyed when she asks people to push 28 for her. They don't. She pushes her way through. She pushes it herself. She's a little rude about it. And then by the time they get to the 28th floor, which is where her job is going to be, it's just her and 1 other person. And this guy is someone who is also new at this job. She is immediately judgmental of this guy. and the front desk lady. A middle-aged woman sits behind the desk wearing a headset and a hairstyle older than my mother. The nameplate on her desk says Rena. She wears a lot of makeup and her thick eyebrows curve over severe brown eyes. Her resting bitch face makes me wonder if she is unhappy or indifferent about our arrival. Holding up a finger, she indicates that she'll be right with us. The guy next to me looks young in the way that Macaulay Culkin will never really look like a grown man to anyone who watched his childhood movies. He's wearing an oversized suit and carries a briefcase with initials monogrammed onto a gold plate near the handle. Another lemming following the masses up the mountain and over the cliff. No thanks. I'll stand back here and enjoy the view while you plummet to a trophy wife and a sensible retirement. Get ready for Penny to be the most insufferable, annoying main character that you've ever had the displeasure of experiencing first-person POV from, as if first-person POV wasn't bad enough. The front desk lady calls somebody named Andrea to come and get Penny. Rena, the front desk lady, does as little to interact with these people as possible, and you know what? I respect the hell out of her. I would hate this job too if everyone who came in was acting like Penny. While she's waiting for Andrea, she thinks this. A girl passes through the lobby, and when she smiles my way, I am reminded of a sweaty, satisfying night in Nepal. Waking up in a stone hut in the Himalayas wrapped around Binsa had been a highlight of my time there. Her lips were wide and full, the kind that pinch in on the corners like cartoon drawings. Those lips were perfect for kissing and whispering dirty words in Nepali that I didn't need to translate to understand. After a round of salty kisses and 3 orgasms, I'd shared my breakfast of roti, fruit salad, and milk tea with a white yak holding up in the shade of the hut. It just feels like she fetishizes experiences with women of color, because this turns out to be kind of a repeating pattern. Also, she brings up her travels, but not in a super meaningful way throughout this book, in my opinion, but to prove that she's not like other girls and that she's special. You're a white, feminine, red-haired lesbian. You're not that special. Get over it. We all have to come to terms with the fact that none of us are that special. It's the circle of life, baby. We all decompose in the end. Also, she couldn't have mentioned like something non-sexual that she liked about this woman or that she like did with her other than this. Like, look, one night stands are a thing. I'm not saying they're not, but it just, if you wait until she describes her other one night stands, it feels like the women of color get the shaft. Not sexual joke intended. And she treats like women she would consider white better, but whatever. She decides to stand up, but she's clumsy because she's just so quirky, and she falls into the guy from the elevator. Deciding that I should be standing when my new boss arrives, I use the leverage of the chair to haul myself up and go flying right into the arms of Mr. Briefcase. Oof, he says when I collide with his chest. His hands grasp my forearms to keep me upright. His surprised expression morphs into a sly smile. In any other circumstance, this would be an adorable boy meets girl intro to a sweet office romance. But here he's barking up the wrong lesbian. I am so sick of these book protagonists pretending that everybody is into them. Unfortunately, this author validates this and he does end up being into her, but this is not how the real world works. Stop making me defend men. Andrea thankfully does come to save us from this horrible interaction. Andrea does tell her that office relationships are frowned upon and alludes to some big event that made it so that they didn't want anyone to have office romances or relationships. Guess what is going to take place anyway? They put her for training with someone named Barb. They go to HR to do paperwork. She's really judgmental. What else is there to say? We learn that the guy's name is Chad because of course his name is Chad. Why come up with anything creative? Why not just go with the lowest hanging fruit? She swears in front of HR because she's a child, apparently, and she can't control herself at work. In this day and age, she would just have her offer rescinded. and she would be out of a job. She meets some people at the office. It's not really gone over in detail. A lot of these people maybe have like a couple of lines anyway, so I'm not going to waste your time. We'll go over them as they come up. Again, they allude to the incident of workplace relationship stuff is why it's frowned upon. But we don't learn anything about it yet. No one will say anything. Eyes go wide and Ryan snorts as Andrea grins and pushes through the door. A woman stands at the wall of glass looking out over Houston Street with her back to us. Long, dark hair stops in a harsh line across the middle of her back. Her tailored shirt is tucked into her black pencil skirt with her feet wrapped in spike-heeled leather. She's on the phone using harsh tones and demanding words. I feel like I should apologize for something and sit in timeout. Fine, but no later than 2 p.m. today, she says, ending the call and turning to face us. I apologize. In the silent space, I hear a tiny gasp. For just the slightest moment, I see her eyes widen and her lips part. I blink and all of that is gone. Did I imagine a reaction? This is the moment when every organ inside my body tries to evacuate to the outside. My chest constricts and the room is a vacuum, sucking the air from my lungs until I'm dizzy. There's a shrill kind of squealing noise coming from my throat, like when you pinch the end of a balloon while letting the air out. I stop and swallow it down. My head spins, my mouth bobs open and closed, and I don't know what to do with my hands. Surprise, it's her middle school bestie, Misa. They end up both being rude, but Penny is so rude normally that I hate her more than Misa. Yeah, let's go over that. You must be the new designer. Hello, she says, holding out a delicate but rigid hand towards me. I'm Misa. No shit, I mumble before sucking in a breath and pressing my lips together. I feel Andrea stiffen next to me. This is Penelope Winters, the new hire for your team. But everyone calls me Penny, I say, waiting, hoping to see some spark of recognition in her beautiful face. We shared ice cream at the beach, braided each other's hair, wore matching pajamas, and I once peed on her jellyfish sting. Still, Misa looks me over, and her expression gives nothing away. Suddenly, my heart hardens into porcelain in my chest, a delicate and completely frail organ. With every second that ticks by, a painful fissure forms there. Crack. I loathe nicknames, she says. I want to snap back that her real name is Misato, and Misa is a nickname. I stay quiet, realizing there's more that I don't know about her than I do know about her. I finally place my hand in hers, and Misa's skin is soft and cold. I don't recognize it. Crack. I loathe those little ribbons that are sewn into your shirts sometimes to keep them on the hanger. I forget about them and end up thinking there's a bug in my shirt an hour after I put it on. I turn to find Andrea staring at me, wide-eyed and confused. What? Are we not just randomly naming things we loathe? I thought that's what we were doing. She's so ungodly annoying. Oh my god. She watches Misa walk away at the end of the chapter. There's really not any other, there's no banter. There's nothing you're missing out on, okay? We start with another flashback. It turns out to be like the first day of 8th grade. It's the first day that they met each other. Hi, I greeted. She turned to me with eyes so dark her pupils were lost. Hi. I'm Penelope, but everyone calls me Penny. I'm a lifer here. Misa, but I guess you knew that, she said with a shrug. I love your hair. What? I questioned as I leaned away in disbelief. No one had ever told me that before. Are we going to sit here and pretend that people aren't obsessed with red hair? Maybe it's because I read a lot of fantasy, but there are so many redheads that I don't even know what to do with them. It's like an Irish reunion here. All white people get really excited about redheads for some reason. Let's not pretend that they don't. It's fucking weird. So where are you from? I asked. She sighed. We just moved here from the city. My parents were becoming tired of that life and wanted something quieter. She held up her hands to use air quotes on the word quieter. I told them there isn't going to be anyone like me in New Jersey, but they said that's a good thing. Like you. My mom is black, my dad is Japanese, which makes me pretty unique. I think being unique is the coolest thing ever. How boring would the world be if we were all the same, I asked. Must have been fun living in the city. This quote is the beginning of Penny refusing to understand anything about the nuances of race and culture. And here it would be maybe fine because she's in the 8th grade and she's a child, but you cannot make the same excuses for her when she's an adult. Misa tells Penny about what it was like living in New York City and how it's different from living in New Jersey, which is where they go to middle school together. Now we're back in the present, and after work, Penny is having emergency pho, which I've seen recipes from Vietnamese people online, and it looks really delicious. I kind of want to try it at some point. But seeing a white person talk this much about other people's cultures, like repeatedly, it's giving cultural appropriation. It's giving culture vulture. No offense to vultures. Vultures did nothing to deserve this. Vultures are wonderful and very important for the ecosystem. My favorite is turkey vultures. You probably know that if you watched my first Rant review. Penny's roommate and best friend Ross comes home to their apartment. I hear the keys in the door and sigh in relief. I definitely can use some Ross right now. He's my person, my rock, my pillar, my dearest friend. Ross's heavy footsteps clomp down the hall. The door closes and I hear him drop his bag in the closet. He shuffles past the kitchen and kicks off his shoes, then unpacks his dinner of street falafel and plops down on the sofa next to me. Okay, side note, I would kill for some falafel. I'm so hungry. I'm gonna eat after this. Oh my god. Fucking Q train can suck my dick, he says. Technically, you don't have one yet, I point out. You know, I've got plenty in the nightstand and a surgery savings account. That's close enough, he says, gesturing to his crotch. Touché. Ross transferred to my high school our sophomore year. Back then, Ross was the toughest looking butch I'd ever laid eyes on. He wore ripped Levi's and white t-shirts like an old greaser from the 1950s. I just knew we had to be friends. My mouth got me in trouble more often than not, and Ross was always there to protect me. The best part about him was that he never got violent with anyone. Ross could charm the contour off of a Kardashian and talk his way out of anything. Yeah, so Ross is a trans guy, and while seeing more representation is nice in romance books, I just wish it didn't have to be in such an annoying book. Ross and Penny also volunteer at this like LGBT youth center called the Oasis Center. I'm supposed to be working my shift at Oasis Center right now, but I had Rachel cover it because I just can't people right now. Peopling is difficult, Ross agrees, running his hand through his dark brown hair before scratching the back of his neck. He sees my pho and sucks air through his teeth. Damn, he says, pushing my hair from my face. You've initialized pho emergencies only protocol? What happened? This book came out in 2023, and I was about the same age as them when this book came out because we're about the same age. We're younger millennials, and younger millennials don't really talk like this. Like, I haven't heard any younger millennials that I'm friends with or that I know who are like peopling or doggo. It's more cringe than even I can bear, and I used to write Inuyasha fanfiction in notebooks because I didn't have access to a computer. Misa info dumps on us because Ross already knows about how Misa was her gay awakening, so like these are like inauthentic conversations, you know, it's just for the reader. So do you remember me telling you about Misa? There it is, Ross says, turning sideways on the sofa to face me. Your first girl crush and bestie that moved away? Yes. I turned to him, now laying my cheek on my bent knees. I saw her today. That's good, right? Was it like the best bestie reunion ever? He says with a flourish. I frown. Of course it wasn't, or we wouldn't be here in your emotional support pajamas. She pretended not to remember me. I blow out a breath and lean back into the soft sofa cushions, dropping my feet onto the floor. Ouch, Ross says. Guess that friendship sunk. He pauses for a beat. Get it? I roll my eyes. I mean, maybe our time together didn't mean as much to her as it did to me. I get that we may not have experienced the same revelations. Hell, not many kids realize they're a lesbian before they even know what a lesbian is. But our friendship was real, and I know that it was important to her, that I was important to her. The worst part is I casually asked around the office, and everyone is either scared of her or they can't stand her. She's like some kind of uptight ice queen, and not like Elsa singing songs and building dope ice castles. Like you could probably freeze ice on her ass. This is only chapter 2. I knew at this moment that I should stop buying books that BookBub sends me, but sometimes there are really good ones that have like authors I really like come on. Then they start objectifying Misa because why the hell not? Ross uses the napkin to wipe sweat from his brow. Truth, hot, hungry, and horny. This is my 5th meal today. Anyway, what's up with Misa? Is she hot? You still want to hit that? I groan. You should see how beautiful this woman is, flawless, and giving off these don't fuck with me dominatrix vibes that made me want to drop to my knees and submit. And you know I'm not into that shit. Look, I know friends talk to each other about who's hot and who's not, but this is a girl you knew in middle school and you now work with her. You literally just said you don't even know if she's gay. Like, she might not be gay. And since the author isn't a lesbian, she has a husband and she has bisexual in all of her profile stuff on her social media. It feels like she didn't even Google the most basic lesbophobic tropes. And since I've read the third book in this series, it doesn't get any better. I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt because this is her first sapphic book, but it's so blatant, it's offensive. Like, the hypersexuality and objectifying other women feels like a relic of the past, like from the L Word. Little lesbian rant over.
Like, coming up towards the end of filming, I just want to make it clear that I don't think there's anything wrong with bi women who have husbands or boyfriends or whatever, or even bi people who just have never been in a relationship with anyone or a woman or whatever. I don't think there's anything wrong with writing lesbian characters. What I have a problem with is anyone, straight, bi, pan, lesbian, otherwise, is using these stereotypes and these tropes that are harmful. They don't even do the bare minimum of research, and when you're not that thing, you are even less like tuned in to the stereotypes that are harmful, right? So her doing this stuff with lesbians over and over when she's not a lesbian, it doesn't affect her. So she decided not to look it up. I promise I don't have a problem with like bi women or even straight women writing LGBT representation. I have a problem with them purposefully doing it poorly because they don't want to take the time out of their day to do the right thing. That's all I wanted to say.
Oh my god, I almost skipped the stuff about the stupid eccentric air conditioner. I have to read it to you now. Because it's summer and Velma is on her last leg. Ross glances at the little AC unit in the far left window. She's got giant googly eyes that one of Ross's ex-girlfriends stuck on during a Halloween party in the apartment. From there, it spiraled into oversized glasses from the party store and a maroon skirt attached around the bottom. Someone yelled Jinkies when they first saw her, and the name was born. Can you see my soul leaving my body? Oh my god. Ross and Penny talk about how they fooled around once and it almost ruined their friendship. I feel like all queer young people have made mistakes like this, so I don't mind this much. I, just so you guys know, thankfully didn't make this mistake because me and my best friend, hi Em, if you ever watch this, we were into each other at different times, so thank God, because they're married to someone perfect for them and I'm married to someone perfect for me, so like, thank God we did not do that dumbassery. I laughed for the first time since seeing Misa today. It feels light and healing. My toes curl into the thick loop rug beneath my feet and flex again. My coral painted toenails contrast Ross's purple ones. It sends me back to Misa again. Her dad would never let her paint her nails in junior high. Said it sent the wrong message. I just can't wrap my head around the person in the office today and the girl I knew. Like, how does that even happen? Number one, it makes me uncomfortable when other white people make people of color bigots. I'm not saying that no people of color are like bigoted towards other groups of people, but there's some nuance, and white people usually aren't equipped to write about that nuance well. Also, it feels weird when we have white characters and authors being self-righteous about certain bigotry, like we didn't invent so much of the bigotry. Like, we're the reason a lot of homophobia exists, particularly in other countries. Maybe don't throw stones from glass houses. Number two, you were almost 30 years old, I'm pretty sure. I would fucking hope that neither of you are exactly like you were in middle school. Do you know what year it was when we were in middle school? It was like 2006 to 2009 for me. Those were terrible times to be alive. Penny asks Ross for advice about what to do about Misa, and we get one normal piece of advice followed by one piece of advice that raises an eyebrow immediately. I shrug. I'll give you a close but not equivalent. So what do I do about Misa? Depends on what you want to happen. You could go on with your day-to-day and pretend like you don't remember her either. Focus on work. Treat her like any other coworker. We skip to the rest of the advice. I frown and set my bowl aside. Or you corner her fine ass in the copy room and remind her who you are. So we need to take a break for a second, and as Natalie from Weirdo Book Club would say, serious cat moment. The reason why this quote rubs me the wrong way is that there is a section of this book that deals with sexual harassment. If you've guessed who the harasser is, it was pretty obvious within 10 seconds. For a book that takes the sexual harassment of Penny very seriously, this feels really tone deaf. Penny doesn't know Misa is into women, point blank, period. Cornering someone at work just because you remember them and you're attracted to them is gross. She has made it clear she doesn't want to acknowledge that you guys knew each other. Can't you just shoot her an email? Can't you just act like a normal person? Can't you just respect somebody's no? This piece of advice is worrisome at best and potentially constitutes sexual harassment or even just regular harassment at work at worst. Okay, back to the book, guys. I promise I'm trying to make this fun. The next day, Penny is on the way up to work. Chad is in the elevator with her. Good morning, I say in the crowded elevator. Chad nods and presses the button for 28. When the space has emptied out a bit, he moves closer to me. I fold my arms across my chest, a reflex, and signal that you're in my space, bro. How was your first day? He asks. Good, fine. Yours? It was great. I think I'm going to like it here. Yep, I agree, playing with a loose string hanging from my bag. While I'm comfortable in silence, I feel the tension radiating off of him. I can almost see his brain working overtime to make conversation while my eyes plead with him to just don't. Okay, spoilers, so a certain someone does end up being a creep. But I really hate when authors write their main characters as irresistible to everyone. We've already been over this, right? Not everyone is into everyone. People have types. Like, I'm mainly into butches, just saying. But like, it just feels a little lazy. And again, sexual harassment at work is real and it happens. That's not the part I have a problem with. I just feel like it's easy to make Chad match Penny's preconceived notions about him. You don't have to dig deeper while you're reading this. You're not required to think. And that drives me nuts. In case we all forgot, my favorite series is Locked Tomb series, and you have to use your brain so much for that. Like, brain required. A yawn escapes my mouth, fogging up the glass and disappearing just as quickly. I blink a few times and decide I need coffee. When I straighten up, I find a big blotchy mark on the clean glass from my forehead. My first thought is maybe I overdid it on the moisturizer this morning. My second thought is I need to get this cleaned. She gives off not like other girls' energy. She just does whatever she wants without thinking it through at all. And we're gonna get to Exhibit B because this gets worse in this same page. I search the immediate area for something to wipe it off, but can't find anything. I don't want to leave and come back in case someone comes in and sees it. They'll think, who is this greasy ass person leaving face prints on the glass? Or maybe that the cleaning staff is off their game. I want neither of those things linked to me. Scanning the area, I see I'm still alone, so I bring the hem of my maxi dress and raise it to the glass. I rub the area, which only smears it at first, but then I flip the material over, rub vigorously again, and the glass comes clean. With my dress still balled in my fist, I raise my arms in celebration. When I drop them, my skirt swings around my ankles and settles. The first thing I see is a man standing on the same floor in the building across the street. He wears a satisfied grin like he's just finished watching porn. In a way, he has, but more like that softcore stuff that Cinemax used to show. He continues to stare and smile. I just shrug, take a bow, and scurry away laughing. While traveling, I found panties to be the biggest annoyance. Baths and showers weren't always available on a daily basis, and I just felt gross if I wore them for more than one day. So eventually I ditched them altogether. Much less to wash, much less to pack. Returning home to this so-called normal life didn't seem like a reason to start enduring underwear again, so I just didn't. And now I've made some random stranger's day a bit brighter. I hope he pays it forward, in a good way, not in a random dick pic way. Are men creepy? Yes, so many of them are. But why are 99% of the men in this book cartoon villains? Also, why is she working so hard to let us know she's not like other girls? Lots of people don't wear underwear. It doesn't make you unique. And she is a woman who has traveled the world. You would think she would do things to minimize men being creepy to her. Like, I'm not trying to victim blame her. Men shouldn't be creepy at all, but I am saying that as a woman-ish, we have all had to be aware of creeps' presence from an early age, and not every country is super safe for a single woman to be in. It doesn't make any sense to not minimize some of the creepiness.
What the hell? That doesn't even make sense!
She goes to the break room where Andrea, Chad, and Misa are. Misa leaves without talking to her. Chad offers her some of the pot of coffee he just made. When Chad sees me, he raises the coffee pot in question. I hold out the Jean-Luc Picard, sorry, I took French, mug that I brought from home as he fills me up. Thanks, I say before taking a cautious sip. Chad's eyebrows lift high. No sugar or cream? You're hardcore. You have no idea, I say, exiting the room and taking the long way around to my desk.
Dude, that little kid is hardcore goth. Hardcore?
Now she goes out of the break room and she pauses outside of Misa's office. Her bark is worse than her bite, Andrea says from behind me. I spin to find her toting her own coffee. I hadn't even realized I'd stopped walking. Oh, I'm not scared of her, I say, forcing my sling back. Peep-toe cork wedge espadrilles? Espadrilles? I'm assuming these are shoes. To move. Good, Andrea says. You're part of her team, so you two will be working together often. We reach my desk and I turn my computer on. But if she ever gets to be too much, just let me know. I can step in as a Misa buffer when needed. Okay, thanks. You'll sit with Barb this morning. Today she'll go over our workflow system, where files are stored and all that. After lunch, we have our weekly project meeting. Then you'll meet directly with Misa and Ryan to go over any pending projects that haven't already been reassigned. I get that Misa is the mean office lady, but do we have to be hit over the head with it? Most readers understand what they read. You don't have to hold our hands. Like, we already got that she's cold and closed off. Also, office workers, is it really this boring? I need to know. I have never worked in a traditional office a day in my life. I am genuinely interested. They once again allude to the incident that was caused, the whole no workplace relationships rule. Don't forget about that rule, guys. It will make this feel forbidden. I eat my PB&J from my Ruth Bader Ginsburg lunchbox in the break room with a few strangers. Ross says I'm a forever child trapped in a grown woman's body, but I say fuck that. I am me, and whatever that entails is purely penny and unapologetic. Being a designer allows me to get away with a lot more than the average person does. She's an artist, people say. She's eccentric. Well, I'm just fucking weird, but I don't hide it. Instead, I like to parade it around to engage people and get them talking, even if it's about me. Look, being weird is great. Look at me, right? But being weird and being the most annoying person alive are not the same thing. She goes to Misa's office for a meeting after a different meeting. The corporate world is so fascinating. I am on the edge of my seat. I find her sitting at her desk, her pretty face lit silver blue from the computer. Her eyes don't leave the screen. You're early. You can take a seat at the table. We'll get started as soon as Ryan gets here. I stare again at a face that I see but don't recognize. When she doesn't look up, I take a seat at the table with my notebook and glance around her pristine office. There's not much in the way of decor, but I do spot a framed photo of her and a handsome man on the bookcase behind her desk. My eyes are glued to that photo until Misa clears her throat. I move my gaze to finally find her looking back. Her expression is hard to read, intense. Misa slides the end of an expensive pen back and forth across her bottom lip while watching me. Her pink tongue sweeps out after it, and heat engulfs my body. I raise one eyebrow in question, but she doesn't back down. This is full-on, unapologetic eye-fucking, which of all the options is not a bad kind of sex. There's no chance of STDs, no cleanup. Just dirty thoughts rolling around while you dare the other person to blink. It's also an interesting development considering the couple's photo on her shelf and the ring on her hand. Just when I'm sizing up the sturdiness of her desk and whether it would hold both of us, we are interrupted. We are making a lot of assumptions, and ew. Maybe I don't understand because I'm pretty sure I'm autistic, but how can you know things without talking to people? Otherwise, it's just assumptions. It's just thinking you know what somebody's body language means. Like, I genuinely don't get the difference between this and the men who are like, I know she wants me. How do you know? You didn't ask her. Can someone please explain this to me in a way I can understand? We then meet Ryan more thoroughly, who works with them. He will be important-ish later on. I'm pretty sure the second book is about him. I didn't read that one. It wasn't on sale, you know. He smells like garlic because he made some Thai soy garlic shrimp, which sounds delicious. But hopefully he didn't microwave seafood at work. Ugh. Also, he's a walking gay stereotype, so get ready for that. We then get a backstory on Daphne, who quit because her work is going to be reassigned to Penny. Daphne. According to Barb, Daphne could no longer endure working with Misa. The poor girl was frazzled and overwhelmed. And every time she was near Misa, she was like a whittle bunny wabbit caught in a trap. I send some positive energy into the universe for Daphne, knowing she still needs it. Not everyone was built to handle a woman like Misa, but I'm not everyone. For 30 minutes, I sit across from this woman, this girl I used to know, as she spouts off directions for this or font changes for that. She's clinical and not concerned with niceties. Once when our hands touch during a folder handoff, she jerks her fingers away and frowns. With every interaction, my hurt and sadness change shape, transforming into something closer to anger and a raging desire to understand what kind of game she's playing here. You don't have the right to be angry. You knew her years ago. You were acting entitled to this person whom, for all intensive purposes, you do not even know. Go to therapy. She literally says in an upcoming paragraph that it's been 14 years. Get over it. Move on. Ryan leaves, so now they're alone. There is a stillness in the air, a tense kind of quiet that binds my feet to the floor and my eyes to her face. Her white wrap dress is a beautiful contrast to the rich tones of her skin, the V-neck a perfect complement to her tiny waist. I'm drawn to the long lines of her exposed arms and the way her collarbone dips in like a pocket to hold kisses. For a second, I wonder what her skin tastes like in that exact spot. But more than that, I want to ask her where she's been and what her life was like after we were separated. I want to know if she ever loved me like I loved her. I want to know if she has a coming out story or if she's living the straight life. I want to know where she went to college and who she looks up to. I want to know what turned her into this hard ass sitting in front of me and what happened to the shy, sweet girl I knew at 14. Misa, I say, my voice barely a whisper. She doesn't look up, but her fingers freeze, hovering over the home row. Her shoulders rise towards her ears just slightly. She rolls her lips into her mouth, and they reemerge wet and shiny, catching the afternoon sunlight. Yes, she asks. Misa, I repeat, turning in my chair and tapping my nails on the tabletop. This is a standoff, and she's waiting for me to give up. Apparently her memory fails her. With an audible sigh, her dark eyes slide to mine, and just like that, the hard lines of her face soften into someone I recognize. Penny, she says with a hefty exhale. The corner of her mouth lifts slightly. My heart stops. I deflate into my chair, relief flooding my veins like ice water. You do remember me. Misa full-on grins now, and it's just enough to remind me of the young girl I once knew, once loved. Of course I remember you. You're pretty impossible to forget, she says, folding her hands together on top of the glass desk. Her lips part as if she's going to say more, but then they press together and I know she's holding back. I just don't know why. Impossible to forget is right. I think Penny is going to haunt my nightmares. I stand and move toward her. Then why did you pretend not to? She looks down at her hands and shakes her head. It's complicated, Penny. I'm not the person you knew anymore. That girl, well, she dissolved into nothing but memories, and this is what took her place. It was necessary. Misa's eyes drift to the window, where she stares out at the sky. Necessary, I ask. I don't understand. Were you in a cult? She laughs, but keeps her eyes on the window. No. I stand before her desk, my eyes drifting to the photo of her with the handsome man. Their smiles look forced, but still they're an extremely attractive couple. Misa turns to see what I'm looking at. Her shoulders straighten and she returns her attention to her computer screen. Like I said, it's complicated. That's all for today, Penelope. You have more than enough to keep you busy, she says, resuming the tap, tap, tap on her keyboard. I bite my bottom lip to keep from saying any more and gather my things at the table. I don't understand how she is this double-sided coin, being harsh with everyone else and showing glimpses of her softer side to me. Everything moves in slow motion as my brain tries to process what any of this means. When I finally turn to go, I notice the photo of her and the man has been turned around so it's no longer visible. Walking into the hall, I take a deep, cleansing breath and wonder what the hell that means. This is where Penny should learn to take a hint, but if she did, we wouldn't have this gem of a book. Chapter 3, we start with another flashback. She talks about things they did together. It's a little sweet, but it's not the most interesting. We fell into a friendship so easily. It was like suddenly waking up in a world attached to your soulmate, and we fell apart in just the same way. Because at 14, you have no control over your life. You don't get to call the shots. I got to choose where to hide my journal or which clothes to wear. Neither of us got to choose to lose a best friend. Misa was a pink plastic piece wedged into a car in the board game Life and driven away while I stayed at start. She was my first love, the girl I would judge every other love by, but I didn't know that until she was gone. Back to the present, Penny is now gossiping about Misa to all her friends. This at least is relatable. Tucked into our favorite booth in our favorite coffee and cocktail bar in Brooklyn, I explain the Misa Penny scandal of Create Slate to my friends. After listening intensely, they sip their drinks and take guesses like it's some kind of game show. Maybe she had some kind of head injury and it was just enough trauma to erase what you guys meant to each other, Evan says. This is from a medical professional, I reply with a huff. Hey, maybe she told everyone some elaborate lie about her childhood and she's worried you'll destroy her cover, Andy pipes in. Her cover for what? I ask. He shrugs and snags his shirt collar, tugging it away from his neck. I don't know. For being an FBI informant on small business tax evasion? I snort. Maybe she's been scared straight and she doesn't want you to out her, Rachel, Ross's girlfriend, says. We don't even know if she's queer. It wasn't even like that when we were kids, I argue. I certainly didn't know I was queer. That doesn't mean Misa didn't have the same epiphany that you did, Rachel says, combing her fingers through the blue streak in her otherwise black hair. Ross and Rachel are dating. This is millennial cringe at its finest, and I can say that because I am one, so I'm a certified expert. This author, however, is Gen X, which means that this is just what she thinks millennials are like. She has it in her bio, by the way. I didn't like dig up info on her or anything. Evan says the only sane thing in this entire book. Hello, I say, grabbing the overhead lamp and swinging it toward my face. Spotlight on me, let's get back to this Misa situation. Evan laughs and pats my shoulder. There may not even be a situation, Penny. Maybe the woman just wants to leave her past in the past. I groan and pull the band off my wrist and twist my red curls into a messy knot at the top of my head. You guys just don't get it. You weren't there. We were important to each other. 14 years ago, Ross points out. I glare, he grins. I love you, but this is kind of killing my buzz. I finish off my fourth drink and slap both hands on the tabletop. Well, excuse me and my existential dilemma. Please, let's get back to important things like the bacterial level in the Hudson River and which direction Beyonce parts her hair this week. Down the center, Evan says. Everyone turns to stare. What? Don't come for the Bayhive. Can we have a moment without some millennial culture reference? There is no better way to date your book than to bring up all the things that were hip at the time. Penny gets drunk, so Ross and Rachel help take her home. She is just as obnoxious drunk as she is sober. I'm sorry, universe, I say, folding my hands together in prayer between my pink Converse. I'm sorry for my negative energy and for posting that meme making fun of women who support vaginal rejuvenation. Okay, I'm not really sorry for that at all. I'll do better tomorrow. I'll work an extra shift at the center. Please get me out, Ross. It smells like cat litter in New Jersey in here. Also, can we just say that most people who do vaginal rejuvenation are older women who had some kind of problem with childbirth or trauma. It's not just about making it tighter or whatever. It can also be about a change in appearance after childbirth or conditions that lead to urinary incontinence. It's God. The universe is not punishing you for anything, Penny. It's your usual chaos catching up with you. But just in case, I won't let you go again. Every few steps, he starts laughing again. I'm guessing with the picture of me folded into boxes stuck in his head. Okay, I say, slapping his chest. Ha ha, it's so funny. LMSO. His feet stop moving, which means I stop too. What? LMSO? Laugh my fucking strap-on off. I'm home, but I want to go home. I'm going to call my wife to come pick me up. When I plug in my phone to charge, I knock over my blue and white earthenware plate from Greece and let out a sigh when it doesn't break. My brain goes back to the month I spent on the Greek island of Santorini. I shared a room with a girl named Gia. We drank a lot of woza and swam in the Ionian Sea with water so blue it felt like diving into a painting. Some days we would climb the steps of Oia and knock on random strangers' doors, making bets on whether they would invite us in for dinner. I always bet on yes, and I was usually right. Gia was lively, like me, but more grounded. She liked to flirt with and tease boys, but she only ever brought one back to our flat. She was beautiful and spoke very little English, and when she had too much to drink, she would flirt with me. Can we acknowledge that she said like polite non-sex things about this nice Greek girl, but not the Nepali girl? Like, it feels gross as fuck.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
She falls asleep thinking about Misa. Surprise, surprise. She's back at work, being a menace to society. On the downside, I really got to pee. Instead of searching out a bathroom in the lobby, I hop onto the crowded elevator and do the bouncing, Kegel squeezing dance for 10 floors and then shuffle from right foot to left foot for 10 floors. The woman next to me gives me the side eye and moves into the corner to put some distance between us. Sorry, I say with a grimace. The doctor said the burning sensation would go away within 24 hours of starting treatment, but I've seen no relief. I squeeze my thighs together so hard they could crush a walnut. She exits on her floor wearing a sour expression. I'm alone when I get to my floor, and it's a good thing. But she finally pees, and guess who's there when she gets out? Misa, because they work together. Misa should apply somewhere else. Hello, Misa, I say, watching our reflections as her eyes rise to meet mine. You know, she says, turning off the water and grabbing 2 paper towels. Everyone else around here calls me Miss Ito. I dry my hands and turn to face her now. Well, to be honest, that's only what they call you to your face. She frowns, her expression morphing into harsh lines. She's going to get fired someday. And I'm going to know in my heart, and I'm going to laugh when it happens. I bend down to retrieve it, lose my balance, and fall forward, catching myself with one hand on the bathroom floor, which will be immediately rewashed when this is done. I grab the delicate silver jewelry, distracted by the tiny carved charms that dangle from it. My eyes trace over a Japanese symbol, a coin, and pieces I recognize from the charm bracelet I gave her years ago. Is this my old I try to stand, only something hits the back of my head. I snap my head up and realize I am currently between Misa's legs and under her skirt. Her knees clamp down on my head. What the hell are you doing? She screeches. At least that's what I think she's saying. It's kind of hard to hear when her knees are pressed against my ears. My hands grab onto her thighs, and I pull myself out from under her skirt. By the time I'm back to standing, she looks completely different than before. Her expression has softened, her bottom lip trapped between perfectly straight teeth. Misa's chest rises and falls at a quick pace as if she's gasping for air, and her left hand clutches the sink so hard that her knuckles pale. I'm sorry, I say. I don't even know how that happened. Just as an experiment, I drag my clean hand across the neckline of my dress, the bracelet dangling between my fingertips. Her gaze follows. I have to say, I half expected to find barbed wire down there. Penny is the literal worst. I think she's only had flings because no one could actually fall in love with her. Like, they would have to tune out every single word that comes out of her mouth. We also just have a serious case for sexual harassment, I fear. Misa should take this to court and get her money. Checking my reflection, I can't help the grin that splits my face. Misa's reaction to me, to my touch, is telling. It sparks a bit of hope in my memories of an old friend and a woman hiding behind something. The only other thought in my head is that's the first time I've ever been between a girl's legs and she's left unsatisfied. I have never been given the ick by a fellow lesbian, but I guess there's a first time for everything. Hi, I'm back. It's the next day. Am I wearing the same shirt? You bet your ass I am. We all do it sometimes. Keep it to yourself. Chapter 4. We start with a flashback again. I just have to say, like, if you have to tell the story with this many flashbacks, like, it's probably not very good writing. Like, I love books that mess with the concept of time, like Harrow the Ninth, and This Is How You Lose the Time War, but this isn't done in an interesting way or a way that I care about. And like, how important can these memories from 8th to ninth grade actually be? Also, we're gonna have to speed some of this up because we're only on chapter 4. This is taking forever. They're being cute baby gays. They're talking about what they think high school will be like and summer camp, but then we get some dumb shit about how having red hair is a curse, and that's why Penny loses her temper sometimes. Ew, weird. Back to the present, Penny is volunteering at the Oasis Center. I personally don't call it that. I call it abuse because these poor homeless youths can't get away from her because. Oh. We meet Rav, a kid who's at the center at the moment, the only character who doesn't drive me nuts. He's really not that important to the plot, so I think we're going to skip a lot of these quotes because we're eating up time here. This relationship with this kid, though, seems really performative. I work with kids. I'm not saying you don't spend more time with one than with the others, because sometimes that's just how it shakes down. But I can't remember a singular other kid that has like a name that she mentions from this place at all. It feels like a performance. It feels such like, look at Penny. Isn't Penny such a good person? No, I don't think she's a good person. Al Capone is allegedly the reason why we have expiration dates on dairy, and he also supported a lot of charities. Does that mean he wasn't in the mob and he didn't go to jail for tax evasion and was involved with a ton of violence? No, it doesn't mean that. Two things can be real. Penny goes to talk to the director of the center's office to talk to her. Her name is Jen. She's also not super important. We apparently had a new volunteer sign up because Penny did a crazy rant on the Q train. I would never go on the Q train. This bitch is insufferable. But I also don't think people are listening that hard to some weirdo on the train. Like, I don't believe it. I've been on public transit. People are either sleeping on their phones or reading a book, typically on a device or just like a physical one, and a lot of them have headphones on. They're just trying to get from point A to point B. They don't need Penny's sanctimonious ass preaching to them on the Q train. We're now back at work at a meeting, and she's stuck between Chad and some woman who smells like alcohol. I wish I was this woman. I'd have to be next to Penny, but at least I might be drunk. The CEO comes in and he introduces the new hires, which are Chad and Penny. Then he starts talking about monthly numbers, and she ignores him. Honestly, that's a mood. Meetings kill me at work. I hate them. They have a new account with a new restaurant, which makes Penny think this. Rupert mentions an account for a new restaurant named Tampico, and my thoughts land on the few days I spent in Tampico, Mexico. I was young and naive then, got duped by some kid who ended up stealing my bag. I chased him for a few blocks before losing him in a crowded market. Thankfully, my wallet, phone, and passport were tucked into my bra, because when you have to pay twice as much for your bra just because it's larger than a C cup, that bitch gets double duty, otherwise known as two pockets to the top. A woman found me trying to catch my breath near her cart. She took pity and fed me tacos until I didn't care that my bag was gone. They were, and still are, the best tacos I've ever had in my life. Tacos, I say with a desperate moan. My eyes snap open when I realize I've said this out loud. The entire room is silent and staring at me. I shrug. I really like tacos. This woman cannot be real. How does anyone find her charming? Like, the CEO finds this like enthusiastic and fine. Like, do you know what I think about someone who interrupts a work meeting I go to? I think they're the most annoying person alive because they're making the meeting take longer. But Misa finds this charming. So who cares? Last on their work meeting agenda is that Misa is pitching to Chef Marco Delgado for the chance of rebranding his restaurants. I feel like he's like an Emerald or a Gordon Ramsay, if either of those people were confirmed perverts. After the meeting, Penny goes back to her workplace and Ryan comes over to visit her. They talk about the Myers-Briggs personality types. Do people talk about these? Am I out of touch?
Am I so out of touch? No, It's the children who are wrong.
Penny then goes to Mesa's office to meet her about something for work. It's unclear. You beckoned, I say, feigning nonchalance and taking a seat in one of the chairs parked in front of her desk. My skirt hikes up on my thighs, and there is a lot of leg showing. Mesa looks up from her computer, her gaze meeting my lap. Then my eyes. She frowns. I lean forward, resting my elbows on the edge of her desk and my chin in my hand. What exactly is it about me that makes you wear that frumpy, grumpy pout? She sits back in her chair, and below the thick glass of her desktop, I see her long legs uncross and cross again in the opposite direction. I don't know what you mean. Oh, okay. Is that what we're doing? So what did you need? Want to report me to HR for our under the skirt debacle? Perhaps you'd like to pretend you don't know me some more. Misa sighs and folds her hands together on top of her desk, but I see the tiniest crack in her facade when she looks me over. There's a longing there, something she wants but won't ask for. Penelope, I just wanted to prepare you for when I land this account. Things are going to get hectic very quickly. Chef Delgado is famous for working hard and fast. Sorry if you can hear barking. Ginger is freaking out about something. Oh my god. It's getting really awkward between them, but I mostly feel like it's because of Penny. Like, yeah, Misa is flip-flopping a bit, and that's annoying, but it's still so weird to be obsessed with someone you knew for 1 year in middle school. Also, she talks about the ring again, and a ring isn't the only thing that should be stopping you. Consent, verbal actual consent. Otherwise, it's just assault, not to mention you're at work. We skip ahead. I'm not sure how much time they get. Free breakfast on Fridays. Hooray. She is having this conversation with Andrea while grabbing food. Okay, they're talking about Misa. This is Andrea. Okay, she says before blowing her bangs from her eyes, I know Misa is our top sales exec, but she pauses and I grin while she's trying to keep it professional. Demanding is the nicest word I can think of. We're all grown-ups, remember? You can call her a bitch if that's what she is, I say. Andrea laughs, but then slides her lips sideways. I'm pretty sure the last designer quit solely because of working with Misa. I mean, the woman is amazing at her job and charming to clients, but her inter-office personal skills are lacking. I shrug a shoulder to appear indifferent, but it hurts to hear. Misa and Penny's rules number 2, be compassionate. So yes, she's a bitch. I lean back in my chair and sip my coffee, thinking about that label and how freely women use it against each other. But it's a versatile word because sometimes we use it to lift each other up. Many females have climbed corporate ladders, become business owners, left toxic relationships, and won Olympic medals by being a badass bitch, I say. Females? Anyway, Andrea nods. I mean, I get it. Some women in the corporate world get labeled as a bitch because they feel like they have to be hard and tough to get ahead, to even be considered an equal, she says before taking a huge bite from an everything bagel. You're right. Like, there's the woman who uses her softness to navigate the system, and there's the woman who uses her hardness. People call one a slut and one a bitch, but they are both just goal driven. I think it's important that this conversation was had. Women have to act in a specific way sometimes to do better in different jobs. There are different strategies women use, that's for sure, but I feel like a big component here that's missing is Misa's race. She's Black and Japanese, and we all know that women of color are treated differently at work. Someone always has a problem with women of color no matter what they're doing, so who can blame her for doing what's made her so successful thus far? Also, the acknowledgement that women use the word bitches, against each other doesn't feel like it means anything when you've been the one saying it the whole time and you don't intend to stop. Penny goes out to meet Ross for lunch, like living together wasn't enough, I guess. They both boost each other's egos by talking about how good they are with the kids at the center, those poor homeless kids. It doesn't feel like a performance at all. Nope, not even a little. We learn that Ross was one of those kids, and that's why he volunteers, which makes sense. It's just a little weird that he also props Penny up so high for doing it when he has lived an experience of what it's like to be one of those kids dealing with these volunteers who can probably get really holier than thou. It's ugh. Most of their chat isn't super important. It's just more quirky millennial shit. We do learn that Ross only has a few more months to save up for his bottom surgery. Good for him. Yeah, we're talking about trans rights, and Ross is talking about how the world's not really necessarily ready for trans people, and they still think that trans people stalk kids into public bathrooms. And she says, not everyone thinks that, just the mouth breathing window lickers. They'll either come around or die off soon. I tell him with a wink. You've got to have faith. Number one, ooh, did that age like fucking milk? But number two, weren't you pressing yourself up against a window and breathing really heavily on it, and then you went to clean it with your dress and you flashed somebody? So are you implying you're not a transphobe because you are not mouth breathing, but you are a window licker? Answer quickly, Penny. I'm dying to know. Ross wants the Misa update, but what is there to really update? Why do we have to get a crumb of plot only to have it regurgitated back to us with a conversation with a friend? Yeah, Ross gives some decent advice when he's like, hey, you're kind of coming off like a stalker, like you knew her in middle school, you're kind of chasing a ghost. Penny only gives a shit about Misa because she works with her now. Like, did she try reaching out to her in college, or like even like after college? No, she didn't. It's like she's a goldfish. If she's out of her line of sight, she'll just disappear. Yeah, it's just more of her like obsessing over how she really wants to go back to when they were 14. And Misa is a grown adult, so they shouldn't want to do that because you're both 28. The chapter ends with Misa landing the Marco Delgado thing, the chef thing. Everyone's really excited about it. Penny is like judging her because she's not acting exactly like they did when they were 14. It gets old really fucking fast. We're back with a flashback to the only summer they spent together. We learn that Misa's dad is super controlling because Penny lends Misa a two-piece swimsuit, and Misa is worried that her dad will see and she'll get in trouble. But her dad never goes to the neighborhood pool, so Penny is trying to encourage her to go anyway. We also have like Penny telling Misa how hot she is and being like awestruck by her, but like, why do we have to recount when children were horny for each other? I don't want to hear about the hormones of teenagers. Like, if they were at least 18, we could have avoided this. Like, I still don't want to hear about 18-year-olds being horny, but like, at least they're of the legal age of consent. But like, why do we have to hear about 14-year-olds being horny? Oh my god. Penny is home for the weekend in the present, and Penny is drawing Misa, and she and Ross have a conversation. Is that her? He asks. I nod and shade the side of her slender neck as it curves into her shoulder. She is pretty, but she looks like a supervillain. I put down my pencil and take a large sip of wine. I suppose she is. Another sip. To some people. What makes you say that? Ross leans in and studies the sketch more closely. Because people that beautiful always hold power. Whether they use it for good or bad depends on the person. Misa looks like she just wants to fuck people up and leave footprints on their faces. You might be right, I say with a sigh, smudging the swell of her hip, but I think that's just what she wants people to see. It's not really her. Look, pretty privilege is real. I'm not pretending it's not. But it is deeply intertwined with white supremacy. Misa is not white. Like, I don't doubt that she is very pretty, but I feel like the author is trying everything in her power to avoid talking about the racial dynamics, even though they exist. They start talking about what's happening at Penny's work. It's literally the weekend. I'm not saying people don't like chill and like try to decompress and tell people stuff, but can they do anything else? Can they like read a book or go to a movie? They literally live in NYC. Can they like go and do something cool? Why are you so obsessed with work? I tried to stop thinking about work like the second I leave. These people are so unrelatable to me. Ross and Rachel are going to go to Fringe later, which is an LGBT club. Yeah, she's talking about how she just wants to go buy a drink and make out in a bathroom like a normal lesbian and not have a stage 5 clinger. She literally calls it a stage 5 clinger. Girl, I don't believe in slut shaming, but like, you know, I'm glad you like casual sex. It's not for me, but it's for a lot of people. Good for you. But I truly do not believe that everyone is that obsessed with you. Like, there has to be someone who only wants to hook up with you because they know you hook up with everyone. Like, gays talk. You can't pretend they don't. There has to be somebody out here who will just sleep with you. and not want to hang out with you. If you keep trying to talk to them, I can almost guarantee that they won't want to hang out later. Penny initially decides she doesn't want to be a third wheel, but then she's like, I'm going to go to the Oasis Center for a little bit, and then I'm going to go to Coney Island. Unfortunately, she does decide to meet up with Ross and Rachel at Fringe because we can't stick to anything we say, but at the same time, I also think she doesn't actually go. Maybe I'm misremembering it. I don't know. She goes to the center. She's upset that she can't make any headway with Rav. Like, what headway are you trying to make? You're so obsessed with yourself. You're not a therapist. What headway is there for you to make? Like, you organize the events at this center and you hang out with the kids a little bit, but really only one kid. Shut the hell up. The other kids, for some ungodly reason, are excited she stopped by. I couldn't tell you why. She hugs them, but doesn't spend any real time with them because they're not Rav. And Penny asked Jen for an update if she hears about Rav, because Rav's not around right now. Penny goes to Coney Island. She people watches on the train. She goes swimming and she refers to her genitals as lady bits. And this is another theme. She refuses to just call genitals a normal fucking thing. But whatever. We're never gonna get through this if I stop at every single thing that's fucking wrong with this book. Also, she thinks about Misa while she's like swimming because of course she does. Like, if the most meaningful relationship you've ever had was when you were 14, and neither of you fucking dated, that's really sad. I know I keep ragging on it, but it's absurd. They're 28. She almost gets hit by a football, and it's Chad from HR and his friend. He like tries to invite her to hang out with them, and knowing what I know, it's creepy, I guess, but like when I didn't know the twist when I was first reading this, I thought he was just being nice and trying to make friends with someone from not in his department, you know? She's leaving, and then they have this, which is absurd. Okay, let's go. Leaving so soon, he asks. Tugging the dress into place, my eyes meet his. He's watching me, hopeful and optimistic, and even though he seems like a creeper, I feel like it's only fair to be upfront with him. I am. I pull my bag onto my shoulder and slide my sunglasses back onto my face. You know, Chad, we've got something big in common. Really? He asks with a smirk. Yes, we both eat pussy, I mock whisper. His mouth drops open and his eyes go wide. Well, actually, that is a bold assumption on my part. I don't know if you eat pussy, but if you don't, you should, and be smart enough to be good at it. I finish with a huge smile. His shocked expression is replaced by amusement, and I absolutely know what's coming. I can almost hear his words before they get here. I've heard it a million times in many different languages. You're a lesbian? Maybe you just haven't met the right guy yet. There it is, ladies and gentlemen, the official stance of the straight male with an overinflated ego and sense of pride. I roll my eyes and dismiss him with the flip of my hand. See you Monday, I shout as I retreat. I hope it's just a phase, he says to my back, and the hits just keep coming. I spin and lower my sunglasses, looking him over. Not as much as I hope that haircut is just a phase. I turn again and move faster toward the sidewalk. Chad scurries up next to me, kicking up sand. Wait, Penny, he pleads. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. I stop and look him in the eye. Chad, I'm not offended that your prepubescent brain can't comprehend that some ladies like other ladies regardless, and not in spite of, men's existence. His eyebrows fall heavy over confused eyes and he frowns. He may have to Google a few definitions after I'm gone. Well, I'm just saying that you should give it a try. You might like it. I let out a frustrated growl and stomp toward the train. And that right there is the difference between men who celebrate women and men who want to conquer them. Chad will not accept defeat. This will be a battle until I stand with one foot propped on his bloody corpse and a rainbow flag planted in his back. Metaphorically, of course. There are men like this. I've met so many, like so many, but it just feels so lazy, like I said earlier. Not one of Penny's preconceived notions are ever incorrect. It's just annoying. Also, her announcing to him, we both eat pussy. Number one, a lot of men don't do that. I know that she corrects herself, but still, it's fucking weird to say. And number two, what if he wasn't a creep? What if he was just a normal guy who was trying to make friends with you? He's literally in HR. Your entire career would be on the line. She is so insufferable. Also, disclaimer again, this behavior from him is obviously not acceptable. I'm mad about the author. Again, people like this exist, but it feels so lazy. Penny goes to visit her mom. I don't remember that being on the schedule, but I'm not going to go back. It's not happening. Her mom asks if she hooked up with anyone the night before. What is with the enmeshment in all of these books I've been reading lately? I think that the authors think that this makes the moms like sexually liberated, but I have a mom like this, and it's like overshared sexual stuff, and it fucks you up. It's ugh. It's oh, it doesn't end up making you think that your mom is like cool and totally okay and sexually liberated. And usually this kind of stuff like goes along with other abuse. In my personal experience, it's not cool. Penny talks to her mom about Misa because at this point she's just trying to talk until people will agree with her. Like someone has to agree with her, right? Her mom asks what she's going to do. Penny isn't going to let it go because she's the worst. We then get info dumped about her mom and dad's relationship. Let's see. I'm just going to summarize. We need to start blasting through these chapters. Dad left her mom over a year ago. Her mom still hasn't gotten rid of all the stuff. She's not really handling the divorce the way Penny would like her to, but it's her divorce, so Penny should shut the fuck up because she's an adult. We then get info dumped about Ross and how Penny's mom just saw his mom, and Ross was kicked out of the house when he came out. And I don't really understand why we have to trauma dump about every single character, and not in like a meaningful way, because she immediately after she tells her mom about the chef thing, she tells her about that immediately, and her mom wants to hook up with Chef Delgado. Ew. Fucking gross. Her mom then says, like, follow your gut unless your gut leads you to jail time, but I can sell your dad's Rolex to pay for the bail, so it's fine. The quirky gene is genetic, I see. Chapter 6, we're still in a flashback about the summer that they were hanging out. They're at a boardwalk. Misa is jealous because Penny thinks some alt girl is hot or cool or whatever. They have a riveting conversation about how Misa is cool, just in a different way. So important to the story, guys. In the present, Penny and Andrea are late to a meeting. Penny is like, we're 10 minutes early. Andrea tells her that Chef Delgado moved up the meeting early in the morning. She walks in and Misa introduces her as their in-house designer. The chef is very excited to meet her. Ryan is awestruck about the chef. The meeting apparently lasts an hour. I'm very glad that we weren't subjected to any of it. She's wearing a dress with cats on it. Quirky. Holy shit, that was intense, I say. Not as intense as that dress. Misa says, one perfect brow raised higher than the other. I cut her with my glare. I just wanted to make sure we weren't wearing the same outfit for the big meeting. Ryan laughs but covers his mouth when Misa shoots him a look. She walks to her desk without a word and takes a seat. Good one, Ryan whispers across the table. I've never heard anyone talk to her like that. It's refreshing. I'm as fresh as it gets, I say with a wink. In real life, you would get spoken to about speaking to people this way, particularly how she speaks to Misa, who is above her. Like, my job spent a big portion of the last meeting I went to talking about not gossiping in the workplace. This is just not realistic. We learn that the project has a short timeline, so Penny might have to pull some long nights. She's fine with this. All of her other projects are being shifted to other designers for the next few weeks because of the chef project. The other designers are unhappy that she scored such an important account her first week there. I would be unhappy too, personally, but Penny thinks they have no one but themselves to blame because they were offered it, but they didn't want to partner up with Misa, and they all refused. This I don't get because I find Misa direct and sticks to work, which makes it easy to meet expectations. Again, though, autism. It's not like she's trying to make them go out with her after work, so, like, I don't get it. Penny stays late to finish some stuff up. Ryan tells her Misa needs her and that he has to stop by the print shop and grab dinner, but that he's sorry he can't stay. Penny just walks in without knocking, which is pretty rude, but whatever. She needs Penny's help with the rebranding tonight. Misa says, yes, if you're available, of course. I won't pretend to know what someone like you gets up to on a Monday evening. Someone like me, I ask, a bite to my voice. Misa waves one hand in my direction but keeps her eyes focused on the windows. Yes, Penelope, someone with nothing tying her down. You know zero about my life and responsibilities outside of this office. I could have 3 kids, a cat who only shits in my shoes, and a successful vegan froyo startup. Misa blinks a few times. You're right, I'm sorry. As it so happens, I'm available. All of that just to say that Misa was right and she has no life. Couldn't be me. I wouldn't admit to that. Also, Misa's assumptions are kind of spot on about Penny's personality. Like, she doesn't actually have anything tying her down. She's been traveling for God knows how many years before she went to college. She goes to the bathroom and then Chad is there. He wants to invite her to his friend's 4th of July party. Why anyone keeps inviting her to stuff is beyond me. She's rude about it and makes more assumptions, which he calls her out on. She then goes back to work with Misa. Misa ordered Penny something for dinner. Penny is kind of a straight up bitch about it. She didn't have to order you anything. Don't get me wrong, this would put me in a full-blown panic attack because I have ARFID and I will die if I eat certain foods. But that's not what's going on here. Misa tries to get ideas about work out of Penny, but she's an idiot, so she says something stupid, and then Misa is like, I'm talking about work. I rise from my chair and move toward her. She looks like a damsel stunned into stillness by an approaching train while she's tied to the tracks. There's panic and fear in her eyes, though she holds steady because there's also something deeper and wanting there. As bold as she is, she's not brave enough to act on it. Our toes are 6 inches apart when I stop. Misa's grip on the dry erase marker makes her knuckles pop. I have an idea, I say, lowering my voice so that it's made of sex and dirty intentions. Now that we're alone, how about you tell me why things are so complicated? Penny is just straight up being a creep. That's the conclusion I've come to. Misa is panicking and Penny won't back the fuck up.
Yep, sometimes I gotta beat the ladies off with a stick. Back, woman! Back, I said!
Like, she doesn't give a rat's ass about consent. She doesn't give a rat's ass about how Misa feels. Thankfully, Ryan comes back to save us from this interaction. He also gets to leave quickly, which makes me jealous. When is it my turn? Misa tells her she's engaged. Yeah, no shit, she's engaged. That's what, like, an engagement is. And, you know, a ring and a picture of a guy. We obviously knew that. And Penny, there is still nothing suggesting, because she said, I'm okay with just being friends to her or whatever. There's still nothing suggesting to me that she's okay with just being friends at any point. She's acting like a sex-crazed little weirdo this entire book. Also, the Eminem reference, which is, will the real Misa Ito please stand up? It's cringe as fuck. But, of course, Penelope has to be right. Of course, Misa wants her. I get that this is a romance book. I understand that, but
in the fuck knuckles is this?
And the fact that Misa is engaged and Penny sees nothing wrong with inspiring her and helping her cheat, like, girl, you have no morals. You stand for nothing. We just have to have every trope shoved into this book. And I would love to be on the side of stealing someone else from a fiance they're not attracted to, but Penny is so unlikable that I just want this to end. Chapter 7. We're back in the 9th grade. Yay. Misa talks about how Nick Keller from the debate club was complimenting her and that he kissed her after the debate club. Penny is very jealous of this. It was Misa's first kiss. Penny then goes on this rant, which is rich coming from her. How did he even know you wanted to be kissed? She shrugged. He didn't. I guess he just took a chance. Hello? I said, standing and pacing the room. Has he ever heard of consent? What if you didn't want him to kiss you? Wait, did you want him to kiss you? I don't know, she answered before chewing on her bottom lip. I threw my hands in the air. How can you not know something like that? Misa shrugged. It wasn't bad, and now I've had my first kiss, so it was like a rite of passage. Yeah, girl, I don't want to hear about this from you of all people. Even 14-year-old you knew it was wrong to kiss someone without explicit consent, yet did you get explicit consent the other day? I think they kissed. I can't remember if they have or not, but I'm pretty sure they kissed. No, she didn't. I know that, like, Misa kissed her first, I'm pretty sure, but neither of them stopped at any point to be like, we should stand back for a second and get some consent. Like, I don't want to hear about it from either of them because they don't actually care about consent. I feel like this author just threw this in here to get the woke mob off of her back. Snap back to the present. Penny redesigned the entire branding package of Chef Delgado in 4 days. Glad we get to know nothing about her creative process or any challenges she might have had. Nope, this book is about grabbing someone's titty without asking them if it's okay first. Because you're both women, so of course it can't be SA, right? She's telling Ross that she only has to do a few minor changes, and even she admits that this is not normally how revisions go, because she's just that good and things are just that easy for her. Ross is upset about something. He tells Penny that he found a kid in the park that was in really bad shape. He brought the kid to the center where she has been distrustful of everyone, which he says he understands. As he has a real world experience with this, that's fine. They lament about the other people who just like might pass by without doing anything and that humans are disappointing. I feel the need to point out that this is also because of the criminalization of homelessness in the United States, which has turned homelessness into a moral failing rather than a failing of the system. But why talk about why things actually happen, I guess? I know they're trying to be part of the solution, but again, everything Penny does is self-gratifying, so I don't believe she's in it to do some good. The girl's name is Amber. I cannot for the life of me remember if she ever comes back up later in the book, but I've like edited this like quite a few times, so I'm pretty sure she doesn't. Ross is kind of sick of hearing about Misa. Who can blame him, really? Penny only talks about how quirky she is, what a saint she is, or Misa. There is nothing else going on with her. And if you actually hook up, do you think she's going to leave her man? I don't know, Ross. I don't even know if that's what I want. You know, I'd never be anyone's side piece. This is untrue. I just want answers. I want her to just be honest with me and stop playing games if that's what we're doing. I lean forward, resting my elbows on my knees and my face in my hands. Ross rubs circles on my back, something my mom always did to comfort me. If you ask me, you could be looking at a situation of experimental lesbianism just for play. This woman has the potential to hurt you. I won't let her, I say sitting up. She's not the only one with power here. What does this mean? If she turns out not to be LGBT+, you can't just turn back time and unfool around with her. Like, you have the power to walk away and that's it. What other power do you have? Rachel comes over. We learn that Ross has given her a key. This is so important, and Penny gets so excited because this is the first person Ross has ever given an apartment key to. Yay! Penny thinks that Ross and Rachel are going to start banging in front of her, and she's like, that's my cue to leave, I say, hopping up and tossing my empty bowl and spoon in the sink. You don't have to go, Rachel says, her hand squeezing Ross's thigh. No, really I do. I haven't had sex in so long, and with the vibes you two are giving off, I need to remove Lady Dalla from the situation. Please don't ask, Ross says with his eyes squeezed closed. Lady Dalla? Rachel asks anyway. It's what she calls her vag. Rachel laughs while Ross shakes his head. Lady Dalla make you holla, I say, before throwing up a peace sign and disappearing into my room. I have never hated someone as much as I hate Penny in my entire life, except for Donald Trump. A book made me hate a lesbian character as much as I hate Donald Trump. I cannot be here anymore. We're back in the office on Friday. There's more meetings because of course there are. The chef is very happy. We already knew that because there was a brief thing about it. Before they start on the next restaurant for him, he wants them to go visit it in California. Ryan, Penelope, and Misa are all going to go. They're going to be there for 3 days and then return Thursday, and then they have to be back in the office for Friday. Ryan asks if she needs a vegetarian meal for the flight, which is a polite question in my opinion. She can't be polite though, but what else is new? We also find out Ryan is Southern, the more you know. We skip to Penny being at Fringe, the LGBT club. This is unacceptable. I do not have the mental capacity to deal with this kind of bullshit right now. I need my drink and I need it now. It's too crowded for her, that's what she's saying. Don't they know that tomorrow I have to get on a plane with Misa and stay in the same house with her and pretend that everything is goddamn Michael and Dwight when it's totally Jim and Pam? Like, no girl, they do not know that. They are at a club because they don't know you. It's weird self-centered thinking that makes me loathe her, but not in the fun way like Wicked. She's there with Ross and Rachel. She decides to hook up with some hot blonde named Tatum. This name cannot escape being an adult contemporary romance. It will haunt us all forever. They go to hook up outside. What is wrong with you? Well, of course she's thinking of Misa instead because she's herself and Misa has her in a chokehold. She doesn't get any further than making out. She leaves the girl after saying sorry sorry and goes right back to her friends to complain to them. She decides that she has a week to work out whatever is going on between her and Misa, and they all have a group huddle. If I saw this at a gay club, I would get the hell out of there. Actually, I would talk to the bouncer because I would assume all of you guys are the feds. Chapter 8, we are back in 9th grade. They have to write a 2-page outline highlighting their goals for after high school. What class is this for? We were in school at the same time. You can't fool me with these lies. We're all like, do you think we'll still be best friends after high school? I wouldn't even be friends with them now. They say, of course. Misa says her plans are to go to an Ivy League school. Penny is like, yeah, I'm not getting in there. Misa says, you could if you applied yourself. But I agree with Penny here. Penny says she really wants to see the world. Shocker. Misa points out that she could do that after getting her degree, but I know that Penny would have no money because of the degree. So for once, I'm on Penny's side. College is expensive. She says she wants to go to the West Coast first, so adventure. Penny is now in the present, scrambling to pack, which is predictable. She's utterly unreliable. She's scrambling around because the ride gets here for the airport. She said she stayed up binging The Handmaid's Tale instead of packing because she's just so quirky. She gets on a tangent about it. Ross tells her to shut the fuck up because she has the car waiting for her. She tells Ross not to have sex on her bed. He's like, why would I do that? And then she turns out the door, and in the car is Misa waiting in the back for her. There's something that's supposed to pass for flirting. Penny asks Misa if she's texting her boyfriend slash fiance. Penny also immediately confronts Misa about the kiss, even though it's been a week. But sure, let's wait until we're in an enclosed space with a stranger. Do people just forget taxi drivers are there? Like, I don't get it. Misa says the kiss was a mistake, a moment of weakness. Penny says it didn't feel like a mistake. Misa says it was just 14 years of pent-up curiosity. It was nothing. This is the part where Penny should take a fucking hint. Penny feels like one of those guys who are like, 100 no's and 1 yes is yes. Ew. Penny asks if they're picking up Ryan, but he lives in the village and they live in Brooklyn, so no, they're meeting at the airport. So you live in Brooklyn? Misa nods. It says she nods, but it's Misa. Slumming it with us common folk, huh? She glances at me and then out the window. I'm not sure what you mean. Brooklyn is a very respectable place to live. My fiance is in real estate, so we got in early on an amazing investment. Of course you did, I shoot back. Did it come with a white picket fence and an intact hymen for your wedding night? Penny is such a douchebag. Like, if this was happening in real life, she would be fired. She would have been dragged into HR kicking and screaming she's such a fucking loser. Misa says that animosity needs to fucking stop, which I agree. They get to the airport. Ryan is there. Ryan tells Penny that he and Penny will be sitting together. Misa will be sitting a row behind them. They watch a toddler. It's stupid. Penny sleeps through the flight. Thank God. They have a limo and are taken to Chef Delgado's beach house. Why he didn't get them a hotel, I have no idea, but whatever. Someone who works there greets them and she gives them a note from the chef. He suggests a restaurant to go to for dinner. It's Italian. They pick separate rooms. I almost don't see the point with how this book has been going. Penny texts Ross to let her know she's safe. I wish the plane had crashed. They go to the restaurant and they toast for some reason. To living our best lives, I say. Ryan raises his glass. Here's to those who wish us well. All the rest can go to hell. Misa sits quietly for a few seconds and then finally lifts her drink. To hell, she says, her eyes meeting mine, and I am stunned by the fire there. May the stay there be as fun as the way there. A small grin lifts the corner of her mouth as we clink our glasses together before sipping. I didn't know that word was in your vocabulary, I say. Fun. Yes, well, I'm sure there's no end to how much you don't know about me. Again, she is higher ranking than Penny. Why is this allowed to keep going? It doesn't make any sense. I would have had her fired for this shit. Penny sends a picture of the food to her mom. So exciting. Penny implies that she got laid the other night to make Misa jealous. Why anyone would be jealous is lost on me. Misa asks for the check after they've all been drinking, but the chef already paid for it. How nice of him. If only he hadn't wasted the money and picked better people to spoil. When they get back, Penny realizes she forgot to bring her suitcase upstairs. She only brought her carry-on, and she accidentally smashes into Misa, who accidentally grabs Penny's towel. Did I forget to mention that Penny showered and was naked? How careless of me. Misa is flustered and then basically runs away. After she runs away, Penny says this shit. Still got it, I say, licking my index finger and pressing it to my shoulder while making a sizzling sound. First of all, you just showered, you disgusting swine. You just got spit on you. Gross. Penny accidentally wakes up at 4 a.m. because of jet lag. I've personally never experienced jet lag, but I'll take your word for it, whatever. She sends Ross an update at 4 a.m. because why does Ross need to sleep, right? She gets up and Misa is speaking on the phone in Japanese, bilingual queen. Penny asks Misa what's wrong. Misa admits she's no longer engaged. Misa stares out at the ocean, wringing her hands. I am no longer engaged. Haven't been for a couple of weeks. She blows out a long breath and keeps her eyes on the horizon. Wow, so why do you still wear the ring? We're not telling anyone yet. That's the complicated part. Her eyes shoot to mine. I don't know what I want right now. Am I a terrible person if all I feel is relief? I don't think so, I say. Like you said, it's complicated. You wouldn't understand. Hey, I say, my hand reaching for her, but coming back to rest on my chair. Don't underestimate me. Misa remains silent. There was a time when we shared everything. She lifts her head. I remember. Yeah, they like reminisce about something in math class. They say it's about farting. It's not fucking funny. Penny says, I miss you to Misa. Misa's smile falls and that carefree woman disappears as if pulling on a suit of armor. We should get some sleep. Big day today. I get that Misa is sending mixed signals, but at the same time, Penny only hears what she wants to hear. Misa's life is obviously complicated, and adding an annoying lesbian to the mix is not going to make it any less complicated. Just saying. Chapter 9, we're back in 9th grade. They made each other homemade Christmas presents. Penny's mom asks if Misa has a boyfriend. Penny's like, no. Penny's mom asks if Penny is interested in any boys at school. It's a transparent attempt to make Penny admit that she's gay. Misa comes over to interrupt this awkward conversation with the present she made. Penny gives the keychain that was on Misa's bracelet earlier to Misa. In the present day, Ryan made them breakfast because he's the only likable person here. She sees Misa coming back from a jog. This is Ryan referring to Misa coming back from a jog. This bitch would, Ryan says, glancing to the deck with a roll of his eyes and back to his eggs. Would what? Would work out while on vacation? I mean, I know it's not a real vacation, but even work vacation means you get to take a break. I don't think it's in her DNA to take a break from anything. She really is beautiful when she's not talking, right? Ryan says. I turn to find him staring at her now. His gaze is appreciative, lips barely forming a smile. She is. He continues to watch her. Oh god, you're not in love with your boss, are you? I tease. He looks horrified and does a bothered shake of his shoulders. No, fish is not on the menu. First of all, the transphobia. Also, Ryan was so clearly gay you could see it from space. I know I'm like taking out a lot of stuff because we don't have enough time to go over every single thing, but oh my god. We learn that Ryan loves cooking and that's why he made fancy breakfast. His grandma has been running her own restaurant for 40 years. They all enjoyed breakfast. They have to be to the restaurant at 10. Misa says this. And try to wear more clothes in the common areas of the house, she says. You probably made Ryan uncomfortable and this is still work. I look down at the plaid boxers and sports bra I have on with a smirk. Ryan is uncomfortable, I ask before leaning in just an inch more so that my lips brush the shell of her ear. Or is it the 14 years of pent-up curiosity in your lady cave? I duck under her arm and hightail it to my bedroom, laughing the whole way. Nope. Misa is right. You are at work and you should act like it. You're being a creep and a weirdo. Lawsuit waiting to happen. They get to the restaurant and one of the main characters from book 3 is there to greet them. Avery. She's mask or butch. It's unclear. And she's hot. I just pictured Shane from the L Word the whole time I read the book. I'm not even gonna lie. Avery is a self-proclaimed gold star lesbian, which makes me hate her too, but I am forced to defend her because this author has something against lesbians on the masculine side. It's my duty, I'm afraid. Avery is immediately attracted to Penny because apparently everyone is. Penny is a freak and keeps staring at her like, girl, be discreet. Avery shows them around the new restaurant, says they can take pictures. The chef refers to all of his restaurants as women. Ew. Avery leans over, whispering in my ear. He refers to all his restaurants as women. I frown. Not in a condescending way. She adds, this man adores women. Totally a good guy, a rarity, especially in this industry. I guess the only credit I can give to this author is that everyone is equally gross about women. It's equal opportunity. The chefs are going to cook for them. Avery seats them and shows them the menu. The chefs bring some trays with food on it. Everyone is very excited about it. Avery is on team Penny for no reason other than she wants to smash. I almost kind of respect it. At least she's pretty honest. My lips close over the bread and I slide it from the fork into my mouth. There is so much deliciousness happening at once. My taste buds are quelling, fuck me, running. That is so good. Avery laughs and cuts a bite for herself. Inappropriate, Misa says under her breath, keeping her eyes on her plate. Again, just fire her. You can find a girl so much hotter than that. There's plenty of hot, quirky girls in the sea, Misa. Avery leans in. Perhaps it's the company. She gives me that smile again, and I swear Lady Dalla is writing her a personal invitation. Vomit, stop calling her vagina that. Misa is unhappy about the gross flirting. They're at work, so I agree, but we all know that's not why she's upset. Avery asks if she's free tonight. At least Avery is direct. I'm planning on doing Avery's book at some point because, oh my god, that's the one that started this whole hatred obsession thing. Misa asks Penny to go to the bathroom with her. They make out. It's pretty fucking gross. I'm not going to read it to you. You get the picture. I'll read more other... I'm going to read some of the smut. I'm not reading the making out because fuck that. Misa is like, you are not free tonight, because she heard Avery asking Penny if she was free. Penny lies and says she's sorry, but her boss is making her work tonight. Avery gives her number anyway. Avery, you dodged a bullet you don't even know. Unfortunately, a brand new bullet is forming just for you, and you don't manage to dodge it. Chef is still trying to hook up Avery with Penny, really talking her up. It's nice to have a boss who's your wingman, I guess. Chef hits on Misa though. Ew. He asks if they're enjoying the house. It's pretty boring. When they get back, Penny meets Misa in Misa's room. Misa's like, I'm tired of fighting this. I refuse to do it anymore. Penny's like, why have you been fighting this? She's like, I want you. I always have. But you weren't even willing to give our friendship a chance. Why? And she says something about having like a magnetic pull to Penny. It's really dumb. This is where I'm supposed to be jumping for joy about them finally making it happen, but I just feel numb to it. It just feels so forced, probably because Penny has been forcing it. How must we start a chapter that is clearly about to have sex in it with a flashback when they were in 9th grade, of course? I totally forgot about this flashback, probably because it's disgusting and fucked up. As I pressed play on the remote, my eyes left the screen and focused on Misa. I could hear the cheesy music and the awful dialogue, but I needed to see her reaction to this. What is this? She asked. I glanced at the screen just as clothes started to come off. What are they doing? She almost shouted. Is this a porno? Misa asked, her voice much softer now. Yes, I found it in my mom's underwear drawer. Misa briefly looked at me, but then back to the television, and we'll discuss later what you were doing in your mom's underwear drawer. Oh my god. Why in the actual fuck would we want to hear about 14-year-olds watching porn and getting horny together? Somebody get Chris Hansen on the phone. I'm not reading any more of this. I put more quotes in here, but I can't do it. I don't have a problem with talking about budding sexuality, but this is a romance book that's trying to make you horny. It's disgusting to write scenes like this about minors. These are children. In the present, there is a sex scene in Misa's bed. I will try to add weird euphemisms if I can, so that you can understand what I'm saying without getting flagged by YouTube. I'm not monetized yet, so I don't think I'll get flagged, but you never know. Let me try to get to the icky bits. So number one, she's licking the flat side of a popsicle. Penny is Misa's popsicle. We get it, okay? I take my time with Misa because this may be all I get. This may be the only chance after 14 years of wanting. So I relish it. I tease her. I worship her. I make her beg for release. And when I am sure she can't take it anymore, I give it to her. We also have like really terrible, awful descriptions, like describing something as a live wire. I don't really know why we add those. We also say a lot about wetness and moisture levels. I swear these people just want to write erotica but can't commit to fully being horny. Also, there's better smut on AO3. After the initial sex scene, there is another sex scene in the shower. Oh, I forgot to mention, Misa reciprocates after she's apparently never licked the popsicle for anybody else before, even though she's fooled around with other girls. So giving and generous of her. She grabs both of my wrists in one hand and pins them to the wall above my head while pushing inside me with her other. Warm water washes even warmer skin as Misa's lips find my neck. Her tongue and lips leave sucking kisses down my chest. Nuzzling between my grapefruits, Misa's free hand pinches the top of the grapefruit, the part of the grapefruit that I'm assuming would be connected to the stem if we were talking about grapefruits, while her lips wrap around the other. The intensity of being touched by her in so many places at once has me on my tiptoes,
seeking out more. Her pace is hard and fast, filling me up, pushing so deep that I never want it to stop. Misa's mouth leaves my grapefruit and finds mine. Her kiss is sloppy but satisfying as she alternates between. You know when we used to like put our fingers in one of those like weird millennial jelly-y pockets? I'll show a picture. That's what Misa's doing. And sliding her slick fingers out to tease Penny's the good part on the outside. You all know what I'm talking about. I can't keep up coming up with euphemisms. I don't know any. They then ordered takeout, which is a mood because they don't want to cook. We then finally have an important conversation where it's revealed that there was no cheating because she and her fiance had broken up weeks ago. I still think there might have been a little bit of cheating though. Misa talks about wanting her dad to be happy and she's vulnerable and it's understandable. Penny acts accepting, but I promise it won't last long. She has been through so much, beat and broken down, while my life has been exactly what I wanted. And now she is facing decisions that no one should have to. Together, we are beautiful, but I never want to be another burden in her life. I lean against the deck and vow to take these next few days in California and live them to the fullest, to bring her happiness and orgasms and so much love that it might just be enough to last her a lifetime. Oh no, having to sleep with a hot woman you wanted to sleep with. What a martyr. Chapter 11, flashback to the summer. Penny is trying to teach Misa to skateboard. It would be cute if I didn't know who Penny grew up to be. It's Wednesday in the present and they're being more casual. They're going to have the meeting on Thursday instead of today. Penny and Misa go to the beach. Also, they talk about the girls that Misa fooled around with. It's not that important. Not much to tell as far as other girls go. Nothing ever serious. High school was difficult. My mom was gone and my dad was always on me. I wasn't black enough for the black kids and not Asian enough for the Asian kids. So I kept to myself and focused on schoolwork. I don't know if we've mentioned, but her mom died in a car crash. So that's why her mom wasn't there after she moved. I feel like the only one talking about how race is affecting things is Misa. And that's pretty predictable. It feels like the author knew that she needed to sound more woke, but only has a small understanding of how important the subjects she's trying to talk about are. She acknowledges how these things might affect the person, but still finds a way to blame them for their own plight. You'll see later. Also, so much of this could have been avoided if Penny was just honest about her desire for a long-term relationship with Misa, but she doesn't even want there to be a chance that she gets rejected. So she's playing this game where she pretends to care about Misa's feelings, but actually doesn't. She just stews in her brain that she's not getting what she wants. They're then talking about their first girl kiss and such, but Penny can't have a sweet heart-to-heart without being quirky. Misa releases my hand and turns to me again. I couldn't imagine being like her. She was unreal. And my first girl kiss. She sounds like me, I say. I've always wished you would have been my first, Misa responds, but Jess, she was wild like you and just so out there. I guess it's such a relief when you realize who you are and why you feel the things you do. You want to shout it from the mountaintops. Instead, you wear rainbow everything, start resenting boys for no reason, and go down on the principal's daughter because that asshole gave you detention for wearing a uteruses before deuteruses shirt to school. She feels like she's a coho male love interest, like she's always trying to be edgy. Oh my god. For a long time, I thought it was just you, that maybe I loved my best friend a little too much. Just helped me see myself more clearly, but I knew that my dad would never allow it. He'd flat out told me so after we moved away. So I played around a lot in college. It was the first time I was out from under his thumb. Also, then Misa says her type is redheads, and girl, there are so many redheads in the sea. Please go find some on a dating app. Find a nice brunette who's always wanted to dye everything red. I'm begging you. You're too good for her. They have sex again on the beach, but thankfully it's only 2 paragraphs. We're not gonna go over it. They're back to meeting with Chef Delgado and Avery's there. Oh my god, you're glowing, Avery says, walking me to our table for lunch. You got laid last night. No wonder you didn't call. You wound me, Red. She places a hand over her heart and gives me a devious smirk. In any other situation, at any other time, I'd give you a cat bath with my tongue, I tell her. That is the grossest way to talk about oral that I have ever heard
in my life. Again, they're together for lunch, and Ryan tells them that he met someone. Good for him. Penny asks him if he wore a condom, which is none of her business. They just work together and they are not friends. After lunch, Chef Delgado greets them again, and he says he has some special thing planned for tomorrow evening. Chef and Penny have this conversation. What do you do when you're not designing fantastic art for me, huh? Chef asks with a grin. I mostly volunteer at a gay and lesbian youth center in my neighborhood, I answer. When I'm not there, I'm recruiting volunteers or collecting donations. That is admirable, he says. I can feel Misa's gaze on me. The proud smile she wears warms me like a fire in my belly. Thank you. I'm just trying to be a good human and also pressure more queers to be a bigger part of their community, something I'm really good at. Again, I truly believe she only helps at the shelter to get brownie points anytime she can use some as social capital. Ryan and Misa are joking around, talking about food. It's not funny. Where is the comedy in this rom-com? I can't find it. Misa, Ryan, and Penny decide to do their meeting at 9 the next day. When they get back, Penny follows Misa to her room. Are you okay? I ask when we're behind closed doors. You were quiet all through lunch and didn't even touch your wine. She nods, unzipping her skirt and pushing it to the floor. She takes a seat on the edge of her bed. It's just, I didn't realize how many lies I tell every day to my dad, my coworkers, myself. I guess it's all catching up with me now. I climb into her lap, straddling her thighs. What you need is a distraction. Let's go out. Being overwhelmed with the lies she has to tell to her dad and other people must be really hard. Guess at least Penny is trying to make her feel better, and they're gonna go to a different beach. So maybe it's because I'm a goth who hates the beach, but like, why is everyone going to the goddamn beach? I've got one hand on the wheel and the other on her knee as the sun warms our skin. Misa's fingers wrap around mine and she grins wider than I've seen since we were kids. There's a sharp kind of pain in my chest that all of this is temporary, that everything beyond this trip is unknown. But I push that aside and live in the moment, connected to this woman who needs this freedom more than I need to guard my heart. I don't feel like she's actually living in the moment. I feel like she's trying to play some kind of long game by getting Misa more attached to her so she can demand a relationship using her feelings as the leverage she needs. Misa buys Penny a Mexican-inspired dress. Girl, save your money. They go to a Mexican cafe and Penny dances. Then they go to Mission Beach and do surf lessons. Penny tells Misa that she has surfed before. Misa is bad at surfing because it's her first time. They make out in the locker room when they're changing back out of their swimsuits. They go to a restaurant by the beach. Didn't realize how hungry I was, Misa says, tossing a chip into her mouth. Yeah, being in the water is like having sex. You're always starving afterward. She grins. Being in the water is nothing like having sex. Sex I'm actually good at. I laugh and choke on my water. A little dribbles out of my mouth and down my chest. Smooth, she says. Yes, well, there are many ways I like to woo my lady. Impressive surf skills, endless orgasms, drooling. I'm swooning. You finally won me over, Penny. Just kidding. I'm calling the lesbian police. Stick 'em up. Okay, so how do you feel about fish tacos, I ask. I'm super enthusiastic about those. In fact, fish tacos may be my favorite. They've definitely climbed up the list in the last 2 days. Oh no, the stupid disease is spreading to Misa. It's too late for her now. No, but that would let you live up to one of your nicknames around the office. She gives me a guilty smirk. Do tell. I swallow down half my drink and look her in the eye. Ice Queen, Dragon Lady, Robo Bitch, and my personal favorite, Thunder Cunt. Misa's expression remains neutral. I suppose that's fair. Thunder Cunt is pretty creative. I like it. Thanks, I say with a grin. I came up with that one. You did not. I shrug. I may have mentioned it once, and it spread like wildfire. Those people really don't like you. She turns now and looks at the empty table next to us. That's fair. Hey, I say, wrapping my foot around her ankle, trapping her leg in attention. That's only because they don't know the real you. You only allow them to see what you want them to. So you could change it, you know? It feels like the author is trying to convince me that the 14-year-old Misa is the real Misa, not the adult Misa that has a fully developed brain. Also, people don't have to be so hunky-dory at work. You're there to do a job. Not everyone wants to be friends with everyone else. In this conversation, we finally learn where Penny got money to travel. Her grandmother left her an inheritance. They then talk about all the things they remember from when they were younger, like when they first met, when Penny's mom took them to a women's march. Misa then starts talking about her dad again. Also, it becomes even more unclear if they cheated or not. Also, not everyone has to be out to their families. I feel like there's been this push in LGBT plus romances for the characters to come out, even if it's not what's best for them. It just feels really tone deaf. They then talk about Misa's mom. Anytime I came to your house, she was always in the kitchen. Even if she wasn't cooking, she'd sit on that old stool near the back door reading her mystery novels, or she was dancing in the living room with the vacuum while blasting some old school R&B song we'd never heard. And Sundays were always very colorful. Misa smiles. Yeah, being a black woman from the South meant that she loved to cook, she loved to dance, and Sunday church outfits were always secretly a contest. This feels a bit racist. I mean, at least it's stereotypy, right? Like, we don't hear much about her mom, but this is what we learn. This book does not handle discussions of race well. They then go to have sex in the car like the teenagers they emotionally are. Yeah, so Penny timed their sex to line up with some fireworks. And it's a weird thing to try without asking. What if loud noises triggered her or something? Again, you guys have not caught up enough to know if this is something that Misa would be okay with. Also, fireworks are loud and unpleasant. I personally wouldn't want to be listening to that while I'm trying to get off, but you do you. Both of us know that future is not an option. I feel the dread pull down over us. Our drive back to La Jolla is solemn and quiet. Reminds me that tomorrow is our last day here. We don't say a word to each other. We don't need to. Instead, our hands lace together in Misa's lap as we both try to hold on as long as possible. If you know that the future isn't an option, you should actually act like it, Penny. Like, you have not acted like it this entire time. I just want to bring up how weird it is that Penny has never had a real relationship before, but she wants one more than anything with someone she knew when she was 14. She'll probably be a terrible girlfriend. I'm not saying it won't work out with your first real relationship. My wife and I were each other's first real relationships and have been together for 12 years, but Penny has been doing nothing but hooking up and traveling for the past, like, what, 6 years at least? Does she even know how to file taxes? Chapter 12. Back in 9th grade, Misa planned a surprise party for Penny. It's a birthday party. It's pretty sweet of her. I want to be clear, I don't hate Misa. I just hate her fate. In the present, Misa, Penny, and Ryan are having their meeting. It's pretty boring. Penny gets in Misa's lap as soon as Ryan leaves. Yeah, Misa pretty much has to, like, convince Penny to actually do some work. Like, she would never survive in the real world. She would have been fired for doing literally nothing on this account on this trip. After she actually does her concepts, she texts Ross about Misa and the center. Here are the texts she sends. This one: I don't know, I don't want to ruin it by asking how's the center, somehow not falling apart without you, is what Ross says. Yeah, it's almost like you don't actually do anything there either, except gush about how good of a person you are and how much the kids like you. After texting, she goes to the kitchen and Misa has brought a birthday cake for Penny. Is it Penny's birthday? No, this is for every birthday that Misa missed with Penny. It's kind of cute. I'm not gonna lie, it's all right. Again, I have nothing against second chance romance. I just hate Penny and this book. They bring the cake out to the deck with them like a couple of idiots. Again, the beach house is right on the beach. I don't know why they didn't think they were going to get mobbed by seagulls. They get mobbed by seagulls. It's just a waste of cake. It's a waste of time. It's stupid. You haven't even seen ridiculous, I say. On a boat trip to Laos, we had 6 goats on board with us. On day 2, they all started dropping dead. By the end of the trip, there was a pile of dead goats on the boat, and the owner said it looked like they died of avian flu. I was so paranoid, I walked around with my sports bra strapped over my nose and mouth. Penny cannot go 5 minutes without mentioning that she's been to some other country. We get it. Your grandma was rich and you pissed away all of your generational wealth. They hook up again. Thankfully, it's not described. They're going to the big dinner thing for Chef Delgado. This trip is only 3 days, but it feels like it's taking forever. Ryan and Penny are here to ruin it. Looking good, Ryan, I say. If I weren't into ladies, I might take you home. He grins. Liar. I laugh. You're right, but I was being nice, you snollygoster. What the fuck is a snollygoster? Well, if you don't know, I'm not telling. Girl, ew, you're such a hag. Fuckface, I say. Rug muncher. Are you two done? Misa asks. These people would be my 13th reason. Are those snollygosters, he says, motioning to my chest, because damn, no. Ryan, Misa says, what? Her titty meat is hanging out and I'm in trouble? I press my hand to my stomach. I can't breathe either. If I start looking faint tonight, someone just cut me out of this bitch. Can any of you be normal for more than 5 seconds? I'm begging you. When we reach the restaurant, Avery is waiting like always, though this time she's decked out in tuxedo pants with a white shirt and red suspenders. My God, lady, she says, helping me send me out of the car. Are you two trying to kill me tonight? I take no responsibility for these, I say, waving a hand across my boobs. My legal disclaimer is that no harm is meant to anyone who encounters them, and if one pops out, just alert me so I can get her back in place. Individuals are held responsible for their own hands and elbows, and there will be no accidental fondling, bumping, or motorboating of any kind. Got it? Avery ends up kind of sucking in the third book, but I just know she's hot. Can you tell I have a preference for butches? Like, a heavy preference? I don't think it's that noticeable. Also, plenty of women wear sexy stuff and don't say they're going to like tip over. That's something she says right after that. Why would you wear something so tight to a restaurant when you know you're going to eat a lot of food? This night is shaping up to be pretty epic, and I think it will remain in my best memory bank for a long time. I could definitely get used to this life, especially with the gorgeous woman sitting by my side. But the more wine I drink, the more I realize that this is not my life, and the woman beside me is not mine. You keep telling yourself that, but I really don't think it's sinking in. You're acting like you're dating her. They're headed back to the beach house. Penny's dress is hurting her. We get this. Boo, you okay? Ryan asks, resting his hand on my bare shoulder. Penny? I hold up a hand. I'm fine. I just need to get out of this dress. My hands reach behind my back, fingers clawing at the hook and eye closures that are just out of reach. The car comes to a stop at the house as I throw open the door and stumble out. I suck in a huge breath and exhale, my hands finally connecting with the clasps. Ryan has a hand over his eyes and puts the other out in front of him to search for me. Don't get naked, I can help, he says. Hold on. I got it, I tell him, fingers fumbling, fingernails breaking between the metal clasps. No, I got it, Misa says. You can go in, Ryan. I hear his footsteps fade away and the car pull out of the driveway. I place one hand on the front of the house and rest my forehead on it. I'm starting to see spots. Shit, Misa says. Blah, 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 blah. She helps her get out of the dress. I turn to face her now and throw both hands in the air. My dress drops to the ground and I step out of it. I feel better than better. I shout into the sky, naked in my 6-inch heels. A car horn blares and I step to the sidewalk, giving a wave at all the passing cars. Tires screech as two cars narrowly miss each other, trying to get a look. Oh Lord, Misa says, swiping my dress from the ground and ushering me inside the house and away from the street. This woman has so far, allegedly, in my opinion, committed sexual harassment, and now we can add streaking and being intoxicated in public. She's a menace to society. The chapter ends with them going to bed together and Penny telling Misa she loves her. So much for the pep talk about not having a relationship. Chapter 13, it's back to 9th grade. They're in chemistry class. There's some talk about the chemicals that make love and sex drive in relationships. It's weird and not cute. Back to the present, we get on the plane. Penny vaguely remembers telling Misa she loves her. They're all exhausted when they get back. Ryan says hi and see you tomorrow. Penny decides to talk to Misa. Now what? I ask. She turns to me with a frown. I don't know, Penny. I'm more confused than ever. Well, the rule states that you can be situationally gay if it is more than 1,000 miles from your home, so you're safe. Misa blows out a breath and slides her lips sideways on her face. There's no such rule. I shrug. There is. It's in the queer handbook. Misa's life is super messy and she definitely shouldn't have done this. I give Penny a lot of flack because I hate her, but Misa was wrong for starting this entire thing up. What she should do is tell her dad that she and her fiance aren't working out and then proceed to be straight but single for a while. That's my plan anyway. Still seems better than what's going on here. Give me some time to figure this out, she asks. I nod. And just like that, I am on the sidewalk with my bags, watching her ride away. Once the car is out of sight, I drag my bags up the stairs and unlock my apartment. Ross meets me at the door, bringing my bags in and then wrapping me in the tightest hug. I still think that Misa is being pretty reasonable because her whole life has imploded since Penny came back into it. Penny and Ross reunite. They're having pizza and beer for dinner. Penny has been avoiding talking about the trip and Ross calls her out on it. How long are you going to avoid telling me about your trip? Ross asks. You want to talk more geometry or are you ready to dish? Now we're going to skip over what Penny says actually because it's not really that important because we already saw what happened, right? They had a lot of sex. Ross folds his hands together and rests them on his stomach. Do you love her? He asks. I always have. And what does she need time for? She was engaged to a man to make her father happy, even though she's into women. They broke it off before the trip, but they're holding off on telling anyone. Ross sits up, dropping his feet to the floor and taking a huge bite out of my pizza. That's some crazy shit. She's got lesbian drama and she's not even out. I know, I shout toward the ceiling. Why is this my life? He throws an arm around my shoulders. Because you are a chaos, Penny. I should come with like one of those side effect warning labels. I actually agree with Ross. I think this is a you reap what you sow kind of thing. Penny makes things chaotic for everyone else, so she got sent a girl who is basically unavailable in every way. Karma. Karma's a bitch. Penny asks how Rav and the center are doing. Ross says Rav came back looking for Penny and that the center was fine without her annoying ass. Penny can't sleep and Misa is texting her. It's some dramatic BS. I'm in hell. I wish I could help. Close your eyes and we're there, I tell her. This week will forever be my favorite moment in time. That sounds like an ending, a goodbye. It's not goodbye, it's just hold on. Holding. Like, why are we trying to go from alleged rom-com to drama now? Penny is stuck on the elevator with Chad again at work. He's being a pig. What else is new? I bet you found some equally hot chick and banged her all week. My mouth falls open and I meet his eyes with the look of wrath. A, it's none of your business who I bang. B, you're disgusting and disrespectful. Let me give you a tip, Chad. If you wouldn't say it to your mom or your sister, then don't say it to any woman. 28. They mean the floor. Pig, I shout, stomping off the elevator and letting out a grunt of frustration. He does keep harassing her, so I don't hate her losing her marbles on him. She goes to her desk. She's not even polite to her coworkers who didn't do anything, yet she has the nerve to act like Misa is the bitch. She comes back and Misa is talking to someone who missed a bunch of sales calls while all three of them are gone. Being the boss must suck. She then asks Penny to meet her in her office in 5 minutes. You summoned me, Miss Ito, I say, trying to keep the condescending tone of my voice. Her eyes meet mine across the room. Penny, she says. It's just a whisper, but it reaches me where I stand. I move across the room, approaching her desk while she doesn't take her eyes off of me. Is this how it's going to be? I ask. I get that version of you when we're in this building. Sorry, she says, standing and making her way to the wall of windows. She folds her arms across her stomach. You know it has to be like this. I can't treat you any differently than anyone else. Again, I'm your dirty little secret. Misa spins to face me. That's not fair, Penny. I move toward her now, pressing her to the warm glass. What's not fair is knowing who you really are and seeing this role you play. This is who I really am, Penny. I have been for a long time. I shake my head as her hands find their place on my waist. It's not who you were in California. It's not who you are with me. You make me remember myself, the girl I was. You make me soft. Soft is not bad, I say, sweeping her hair from her face. Penny flip-flops about how she feels about Misa and Misa's situation like every other page. She could have put herself on a dating app and found someone unattached by now, but no. Jeffrey Dahmer was nice and he got shit done. I do not think that is true. Also, bringing up a serial killer who killed little black boys is a fucking weird stance to take. Oh my fucking god. I called you in here early because I can barely breathe unless I'm touching you, Penny. She places kisses up the inside of one thigh and then down the other. Misa lowers her mouth just above my center and looks up at me through those thick lashes. Her hot breath goes over my flesh, and I am squirming as she holds me in place because I want to spend every moment with you. I want to hear your silly stories and laugh until my stomach aches. I want to know your world and your friends. I'm stuck on the outside of life. So for now, I just need to taste you. Misa's tongue slides up against me and I cover my mouth to muffle a moan. She works me over quickly, keeping a steady, torturous pace. Soon my thighs are twitching and I'm rocking against her for more friction. Please, Misa, I whisper. My hands grip the armrest so hard, my palms ache where the metal cuts into them. I don't care. When she slides 2 fingers in me, I find my release. Every muscle tightens in pleasure and an effort to stay quiet. I push her away so I can swallow the barely containable scream that's building in my throat. Why do all these books have office sex in them? You are going to get caught. Your whole livelihood is tied up with this job. What is wrong with you people? Someone thankfully knocks, and it's Andrea, Ryan, and a copywriter we've never heard of before named Jim. Oh good, Andrea says. You're already here, Penny. Yes, we were just discussing all the wonderful things we ate this week, Misa says. I'm emphasizing where there are italics, by the way. Trying to come to a decision on where to focus our efforts. These are so obvious. You would be in HR in a heartbeat because I would be pulling your ass in there. Misa shakes Jim's hand. Good to see you, she says. All I can think is those fingers were inside me minutes ago. My face burns and I might cry, spontaneously combust, or die of laughter. I can't decide on which one. Oh! Someone. Poor Jim. Oh my god, what the fuck is wrong with you? He didn't do anything to deserve this. They obviously smell like sex because, duh. Ryan points this out. Poor fucking guy, but he's gay, so he can't put his finger on what the smell is. Why Andrea isn't saying anything is beyond me. And he runs out of the office and runs into Chad because apparently no one works when they're here. That was priceless, I say to myself. Fuck me. Is that an invitation? Chad says. And just like that, all my giggles are gone. They're stomped to death and drowned by Chad and his ridiculous garbage mouth. I swipe my eyes clear and spin to face him. I know I'm new to this whole corporate job thing, but I don't think you're allowed to say shit like that to a coworker. He moves away, hands held up in surrender. It was just a joke. Dude, you literally work in HR. Sexual harassment was covered on day one. So either you're so desperate and aching for it that you have no self-control, or you're a flaming idiot. Which one is it? I roll my eyes, grab the first thing I can reach on the shelf beside me, and leave the room. I head to the bathroom to clean up and leave the stapler I took on the counter. No need for 2 staplers on my desk. Now that would seem suspicious. I can't believe she suddenly cares about what she can and cannot say when she has not given a singular shit this entire time. Rules for thee, but not for me. Like, he should not be saying that stuff to her, but we can't pretend like she wasn't saying inappropriate stuff to him. And she just had sex in Misa's office. I don't want to hear it from an exhibitionist. I have nothing against them unless I have to see or hear about anything. Out of sight, out of mind. We start with a flashback as always, and they are arguing about the project they have to do, the 4-year plan outline for. Penny hasn't even started it and doesn't want to plan for 4 years from now, which is not how Misa sees things. Misa is an ultra planner. It could not be clearer that they are not suited for each other, and they never have been. I think opposites attract to this extreme couldn't possibly work. Other than liking women and being women, and that they both now live in New York and work in the same office, they have nothing in common. Like, what about interests, hobbies? It's so clear that they don't even see planning for the future in the same way. Penny is cleaning her apartment in the present when Ross and Rachel come in with really bad news. The center is going to be closing. The grant for the facility fell through, and the landlord is doubling the rent. Landlords are leeches, guys. Except for mine. He's a bang-up guy. 10 out of 10. Help me. Ross trauma dumps on us, like Penny and Rachel don't know the information about how the center helped him and also got him a therapist. I just feel there are more creative ways to reveal character backstory without unrealistic conversations where the other characters are already aware of the information. Ross and Penny are batting ideas for maybe a fundraiser, like back and forth, but Rachel reminds them that the center needs a solution by the end of the month. This came out in 2023 when they really would have been doing a fundraiser on social media and blasting the landlord's face everywhere. Ross says that he can help, and it's immediately obvious that he's going to give up his surgery money. He would rather save hundreds of lives than just change his own for the better, and I find this admirable. But let's be real, even at the high-end FTM bottom surgery costs, that's not going to buy much time in NYC. It's very admirable of him, but he's not using his brain. Penny and Rachel beg him to let them try to find another way, which I think is smart. Penny goes to her room and texts Misa about this, so Misa calls right away. I personally don't like phone calls at all, so this would make me furious. Penny explains the situation, but does a weird drive-by on the receptionist for no reason. Rena, remember her? It's an awful situation, Penny. I'm so sorry. And Ross sounds like a generous guy. Ross is the absolute best. I just have to find another way to save the place, and all the starving children of the world, and the homeless, and Rena too. Rena, the receptionist? Yeah, I don't understand how her frosted, feathered hair survived the 90s and still keeps its very distinct shape under the headset every day. But I feel like it should be retired to a museum. I bet if we shave it, it would come off in one solid shellacked piece. Where does all the feminism she claims to have go? Does it get sucked out by the feminism vampire every morning? They then quickly pivot the conversation to being about themselves again. I miss you, she says, followed by a humorless laugh. I know that's absurd since I saw you at work yesterday, but I miss you outside of that place. Maybe it's not just me, I point out. Maybe you miss who you are outside of that place too. I don't know who I am anymore, Penny. The bad parts, the liar, the hard ass. Those things are easy to identify, but everything else feels up in the air. I trace the curve of her shoulder in the photo and roll onto my back. When it comes to you, I feel up in the air. I'm an undecided, a not yet, a wait and see. I blow my hair out of my face. I don't like it. I don't like it either, Misa says. I'm stuck, Penny, between a nice guy and a happy place. But what am I to you, Misa? She is silent, and it hurts too bad to listen to nothing. Pain churns in my body, solidifying into something more tangible. Anger. Anger is something I can grab hold of. So I do. What am I ask again, sitting up in my bed. Somehow, after so long apart, you're my best friend. How sad is that? You know more about me, the real me, than anyone else. My anger breaks apart and falls away, replaced by sympathy. I can't imagine living Misa's life. I can't fathom pretending to be something I'm not. But after pretending for so long, is it pretending anymore? Maybe I am in love with just a memory. Maybe the girl I knew has been completely erased, and what's left is a new shiny Misa. Penny will go from angry to having sympathy, back to angry and demanding to horny, all in the span of like a couple sentences. From one girl on mental health meds to hopefully another. Please get a tune-up and get a therapist. We then go back to the office with this interlude. Oh my god, OMG, I chant with every step, regretting the decision to wear my new heels to work before breaking them in. My feet throb and pain shoots up between my toes. Still, when I see the elevator filling, I force myself to move faster. Fuck, shit, ouch, mother, bitch, son of a Satan, hobbit, balls, fuck. I slide inside and the doors close. All eyes are on me. What? My eyes dare anyone to say a word. Don't wear heels to the office if it's this big of a pain because you don't wear them or because they're not broken in. Then just don't. It's not that hard. We're fucking flats. Penny and Misa get close in the break room. I'm just thankful they don't start ripping each other's clothes off in front of the office coffee pot. Misa is off on an out of the office meeting when everyone else has their meeting. Penny is still working on the same account because it hasn't been that fucking long, even though this book is taking forever. Time is an illusion. Why can some of it feel so long? Penny tumbles into Misa and they both fall over later because Penny is an idiot who wore high heels to work when she doesn't know how to walk in them. Then they decide to make out in the supply closet. Ever make out in a supply closet on dirty corporate carpet, I ask? You've got the smoothest lines. I thought no nookie. Kissing is not nookie. Nookie would be defined as, I don't care, she says before pressing her lips to mine. And just like that, her taste is on my tongue. The smell of her shampoo and perfume are in my lungs. It sparks a fire in my belly that consumes me as her hands move to my body, pulling me closer with desperation built of forbidden kisses and longing glances. They hear a noise then, and they're like, I didn't know anybody was here. Yeah, obviously you shouldn't be fooling around at work, you absolute imbeciles. Other people work there. How were you adults? Guess who caught them and corners Penny in the elevator? If you guessed Chad, you in a brand new minivan.
And you're getting a cuckoo clock.
Evening, Penny, Chad says, motioning for me to go ahead. I nod and step inside with a groan. Once the doors slide closed, Chad leans against the back wall while I keep myself near the doors. Mondays, huh? Why do they always suck? I shrug. Mine wasn't so bad. Maybe it's all about your attitude. Glancing at the digital display above the buttons, I sigh when it only displays floor 20. Chad moves towards me. Yeah, yours didn't look so bad at the end there. My eyes widen and I suck in every last bit of oxygen in that metal box. I press my lips together, deciding to give him no ammunition. My heart beats wildly against my chest, but I somehow wrangle a neutral expression into place. You fucking miss Ito, Penelope Winters? He asks, his face a mixture of jealousy and appreciation. I gotta say I'm impressed. That's hot. Chad adjusts his crotch. Of course not, I say, stepping away from him. Floor 12. So a little supply closet makeout session then? Is that all? He moves closer. What did you two get up to in California? Is Ryan a part of this too, or can I throw my name in the hat? I spin to face him now, my face burning with rage and so many emotions that I can't nail them down. For the last time, Chad, you can't throw your anything anywhere near me. I've been nice to you so far, but I'm done. Are you paying attention? Because school is open and ready to lay some knowledge on you. I do not like penis. Not yours, not anyone's, but especially not yours. No means no. Chad is a straight up pig, but Penny, when have you ever been nice to him? You've never been nice to him. Even in your head, you weren't nice to him. Your first thought about him was judgmental. Oh my god, stop lying. Also, the fucking transphobia. So much for woke Penny Winters. You better watch how you talk to me, Penny. His hot breath fans across my cheek, and it takes a lot of strength to stay there in his space. I'm sure there's a few people who'd be interested to know about what I just saw. I glare at him, my eyes holding his, and not backing down until he removes himself from my path. My bare feet move across the lobby at a furious pace, each step moving farther away from that jackass. Throwing myself onto the sidewalk, I search for Misa and find nothing. I hear a whistle and turn to see her already in a cab on the curb, window down, arm waving. Making my way over, I climb inside. Please just go, I beg the driver. What happened? Misa asks. What's wrong? We've got a big problem. Chapter 15, the flashback that is oh so necessary about when Penny first brought Misa over to her house. Misa sees all the weird art and the travel photos of Penny's grandmother. She also meets Penny's mom. That's it. Okay, we're back in the present. I unlock my apartment door and push inside, waving Misa in. Excuse any mess, I say, knowing our space would never live up to the cleanliness of Misa Ito's apartment. Ross, I call out. I'm here, he says. You got a package. Must be your illegal chlamydia meds from Canada. These people are so unserious. Like, what if that was a cop or something? We've literally covered that Penny has been doing illegal things in this book. Not that I think you should be polite to cops, ACAB, but like, don't get beat up in your own house for no reason. Penny introduces Misa to Ross. They explain the situation to Ross, who offers to beat Chad up. Honestly, I would probably let him, but at the same time, we don't need any men solving our issues unless it would make it easier for this book to end. I know how it happened, she says before spinning to face me. It's you. I let you in, let my guard down, and now this weasel dick is going to ruin me. Whoa, I say, holding my hands up. You're at a 10. I need you down around a 3. Why weasel dick? Are those bad? Ross asks. Misa throws up her hands. You two are exhausting. Penny, he could ruin my career. She stops. I step between her and the front window, my favorite ivy plant tickling my leg. You're what? Your fake engagement? Misa drops her head and blows out a long, slow breath. My everything. Look, Ross says, standing and moving between Misa and me. I know you're important to Penny, but I don't know you. What I do know is that you've come here into our home freaking out about what this means for you. All you've said is me, my, and I. You haven't even considered what it would mean for Penny. Ross, I say, putting my hand on his shoulder, but he shrugs it off. No, Pen, he turns back to Misa. If you care about her at all, then stop being so selfish and let's figure out a way to fix this for everyone. Misa's expression shifts. She nods and peeks around Ross. I like him, she says, pushing Ross out of the way and wrapping her arms around me. He's right. I'm sorry, Penny. I'm just freaking out. What the fuck is wrong with you? Penny hasn't even been in this job for like a month. Of course, Misa is freaking out about what it means for her. She's been working a lot harder for a lot longer than Penny. And it's fucking gross that Ross thinks he needs to ride in here and be Penny's white knight. I hate these fucking people, and I wish Misa would just run away as fast as she can. We finally find out about the office incident. 2 employees were secretly dating. One day the cleaning crew found them, and they were having sex in the CEO's office on his desk. But it turned out that they watched back the security footage and they had been having sex in the office for a year on everyone's desk. They saved the CEO's last like it was some kind of trophy, and they did Bill Clinton type things with one of his cigars and then put it back in the box. It's not as exciting as I thought it would be, and like they hyped it up to be. I'm not gonna lie, I thought there was going to be some serious debauchery.
Debauchery!
Debauchery! Debauchery!
They all start drinking, which I guess I would too if I was surrounded by these people.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
Misa and Penny make booze puns. I will not recount them because I hate it here. Ross begs them to stop, and I agree. Then Penny's mom shows up. Penny wants to know why she's here because she's lived with Ross for 4 years and her mom has visited twice. So at least I'm not the only one questioning the plot of this book. Penny's mom sees Misa and says her aura is whack. Penny's mom is that awkward person who asks you about how your parents are, and Misa has to tell her that her mom died 13 years ago. Awkward. Her mom came over because she has a date and she is enmeshed with her daughter. Totally no biggie. Her mom is bringing her taser just in case. Smart move. Her mom leaves because her arrival was pointless. This could have been a text. Penny takes Misa to her room and Misa asks a very good question about how Penny even got this job, and oh my god, I forgot about this. So how did a girl fresh out of art school land a job as a primary designer at a Manhattan agency, she asks. The truth, I ask, looking her over with a grin. Of course. I met Rupert, the CEO, in the Bahamas the summer before my senior year. He was on vacation, drunk on pina coladas. Told me the long, unabridged history of his little startup that had grown into an agency. I mentioned that I was from New York too, and in school for design. He told me to come by once I graduated. No shit? No shit. He promised me an interview and nothing more. Well, he got my foot in the door. My portfolio and winning personality were enough for Barb to hire me. No doubt, Misa says, you're a talented designer. There's no question. What fucking winning personality? I forgot she got this job the way boomers tried to tell us to get a job. Oh my fucking god. Just bother the CEO, guys, and you'll get the job. This has to be wish fulfillment because what else could it be? They're recounting their old adventures again. Yep, she hit some guy with, I'm pretty sure, a skateboard, and apparently the bystanders literally broke out in applause. Number one, no, they did not. Number two, we can also add assault to the list of Penny's crimes. The crime counter just keeps going up. They're then annoying. We're going to skip it because it's too much and we'll have to be here for like 4 hours. They then have sex again, even though her housemate is home, which is weird to me, but whatever. Since you're supposed to still be engaged, where does Jet think you are right now? Misa pulls her hand from mine. Work. With that, she climbs out of my bed and slides back into her clothes. Doesn't matter. He's having dinner with his mom again. I swear they haven't cut the cord yet. I watch this all from my bed, still naked. When she puts her shoes back on, her eyes move over me and connect with mine. Misa leans over, one hand supporting her and the other tracing patterns on my stomach. I don't think you get to make snide comments about your ex who is lying for you while you're kind of still cheating on him. And if you aren't now, you definitely were earlier. Like, I thought you said that this guy was your friend and that you liked him as a friend still. This is not friendly behavior. Penny works a couple more days but doesn't see Chad, which seems like a lie because he keeps popping up everywhere, but okay. Ross and Rachel are painting each other's nails when they get home. It would be cute if I didn't feel so dead inside. Rachel offers Penny some weed because she's stressed. Good times, Rachel says. You want to smoke? It'll help you relax. Nah, the last time I smoked I had a bad experience. What happened? She asks as she finishes the clear coat on Ross's toes. I had a bad experience. Rachel chuckles. Got paranoid that the White House had bugged the apartment, so I played the Ramones album Rocket to Russia on repeat until I fell asleep. You know what? Maybe the only good thing she's ever said. I was on medical marijuana for a while and my usual one was out of stock, so I tried a different one and I was more paranoid than I've ever been in my life. 0 out of 10. I would not recommend. Ross asks her about the center. There's still my savings, Ross says. My head thumps against the wall behind me and turns toward him. No, I say, we'll find a way. You keep saying that, he argues. I mean, he makes a great point. What has Penny been doing to save the center these past few days? Nothing that we've seen. Penny goes to her room and meditates. Misa and Penny start texting. It's awful, so I won't relay it. It's neither romantic nor comedic. Chapter 16 in this 9th grade flashback. This time, Misa assaulted someone. This is unrealistic as she's a woman of color. The police would have been there within 5 minutes. Please remember, we're talking about 2006 to 2009-ish here. He apparently groped her, so good for her, but it's apparent that he's done this with other girls and no one did anything about it. Unfortunately, that sounds about right for the times. I have another big meeting with Chef Delgado, and her co-workers ask if she's nervous. She's like, should I be? Everyone says no, that her designs are so good. Because there's nothing Penny is bad at, apparently. Penny runs into Chad despite avoiding HR because he's the main villain. Even though I think the real villain here is the invention of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl. My eyes try to burn holes in his face while he smiles. When I keep moving, Chad reaches for me, taking hold of my wrist and pulling me to a stop. Why are you touching me? I ask, yanking my arm away. You don't get to touch me without written consent, a full medical history report, 2 banana nut muffins, and the sacrifice of your first bong. His grin widens, and I say, because of what I know, I get to touch you whenever and wherever I want. Chad's fingers reach for my face, but I turn away. He moves closer now, backing me to the wall. That's okay, he says. I like a girl with a little fight in her. Goosebumps spread over my skin, and a sickening feeling pools in my stomach. In one sentence, Chad went from a nuisance to a predator. This feels too natural for him, like he's been here before, and he won't be denied. Breaking news, I tell him with a growl. I will not be added to the short list of ladies who've tolerated your repulsive personality and garbage breath. But I place my hands on his chest and push him away from me. He moves, but only because he wants to. I don't care what information you think you have. It's never going to happen, loser. It will happen, Chad says, his voice loud and echoing in the empty hall. He looks around and speaks more softly, where everything I know will become public knowledge. Or I could just kick your ass right now and skip all this nefarious blackmail bullshit. I understand that fight is a legitimate fight or flight response, so I'm not necessarily against what she says, but rather how she says it. Her and Misa's careers are on the line, and in case Penny forgot, she lives in New York City where the cost of living is quite high. And she's written as being afraid of being near him here, which is accurate, but she doesn't do anything to try and avoid him other than avoid HR. What about a buddy system? What about standing really close to the cameras? I'm not blaming her for his behavior, but women have had to be vigilant for forever. I'm just mad at this writing, not at the concept, I guess. Also, she's like apparently made friends with everyone in the office. She can't just like pal around with people to stay away from him. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. She gets to her meeting with everyone and they prepare for the presentation to Chef Delgado. Everyone loves Misa's presentation practice, so they decide to break for lunch. Quickly, Penny stays behind to tell Misa that Chad is getting more aggressive. She leans over, resting her face in her hands. I can't think about him right now. I need to focus on the presentation. He's such a twat. Do not honor him with such a prestigious title. Twats are golden, honey. They are the first day of vacation. A $20 bill found in your laundry. Pacific Coast sunsets. I do agree that those deserve better than being associated with Chad, but I fear we've lost the plot. They start getting sentimental on us again, but because they act like the edgelord teenagers most of the time, I feel nothing. In every journal I've ever kept, there's a memory or a sketch of you, I tell her, still looking out over the city. I can flip through hundreds of pages and always find you tucked away in there somewhere. Your pages always show a bit more passion than most. The pressure of my pencil lines are so intense, it leaves a ghost of an image on the page below. Lead dust usually collects in the spine and smudges into a sort of bookmark. I turn to face her now. Misa's gaze burns into mine, fueling my compassion. So yes, Misa, you are important to me, too, and always have been. So what do they do because they're so smart? If you guess they have sex in the office again when they know Chad is watching them and blackmailing them, you guessed right. I'm just so worked up, she says. I take a step toward her, but Misa holds up a hand to stop me. Just stay there, you devious siren. Chuckling, I hold up my palms and surrender. Fine, but I can offer some assistance in relaxation techniques. Misa shakes her head. Too risky, especially with Chad keeping tabs on us. Fine, I say, taking a seat in the chair across from her desk. Hike up your skirt. What? She asks, her lip already trapped between those teeth. You heard me. Hike up that skirt, slide your hand into those lacy panties, and touch yourself for me. What if, hey, I say, I'm way over here. She takes a seat in her chair and does as she's told, gathering the skirt around her upper thighs. She keeps her eyes glued to mine as she slips her fingers beneath the lace and silk. I don't watch her work. I don't need to. I can tell the moment she connects. A tiny sigh escapes her lips and her shoulders sink back into her chair. Forget about everything but what's happening in this room right now. A tiny whimper escapes her lips. I squeeze my thighs together for relief. All I can see is her hand and her wrist and tiny flicks of movement beneath her skirt. But it is enough to drive me wild. Do you like me watching you, babe? I ask. She nods. Misa's head falls back and she closes her eyes. No, I say. Eyes on me. She forces her eyes open, half-lidded and focused with laser precision on mine. Are you thinking about me? About how I taste on your tongue, my hands on your body? Do you remember what it feels like to have me inside of you? I ask, my voice low and slow as her breathing increases. Misa's other hand grips the chair so hard that the muscles in her arm tremble. She's close and she's mine for the taking. Now close your eyes. Another sigh dotted with tiny whimpers and stuttered breaths. Picture me on my knees beneath your desk, my hands on your thighs, my tongue on your Penny, she calls out, her whole body tense, her full lips forming an O as her eyes squeeze tight. Misa rides out the last of her orgasm before slumping against her chair. She's completely spent and smiling. That was hot. I say, life is so good. I refuse to believe that these two aren't secretly horny teenagers with the way that they act. You could just hook up after work at Penny's, but instead you have to cave immediately. You are literally on lunch break. You could have at least taken it out to an alley or a public bathroom. Also, I keep forgetting to mention that Penny says life is so good. Like she's one of those awful t-shirts that everyone used to wear but are now relegated to Sierra. Penny is then in the break room with Andrea getting coffee. Andrea is upset that people are being slobs and leaving empty cups and lunch containers everywhere. Honestly, it's a mood. Penelope is just the ultimate manic pixie dream girl and spills coffee on herself before the meeting because we've already established she's clumsy and so quirky. Penny then decides she's going to paint the rest of her dress with coffee, so it looks like a design choice instead of an accident. Honestly, with how clumsy she is, she should just start bringing spare clothes to work. Andrea helps her because she's way too nice. They dry it in the bathroom. Chef Delgado is delighted that she's fashionably late. I personally think that's just unprofessional, but what do I know, apparently. Misa is obviously flabbergasted when she turns around and sees Penny because duh, she just saw her 20 minutes ago in the office for sexy fun time, and now Penny's dress is ruined. Misa has Penny explain her vision and what she was going for the designs, and Penny gets instantly mad because that's not how they practiced it. But honestly, the artist should have to speak about her work. It's like pretty standard, and she threw Misa off her groove, so what did she think would happen?
I'm sorry, but you've thrown off the Emperor's groove.
They all talk about and agree about designs. It's very brief. Andrea asks Penny to come to her office to work out the rest of the project schedule. Before she does that, though, she confronts Misa. Misa is understandably also upset. Are you trying to sabotage this account with your wardrobe? She asks. What happened to your dress? I ignore her. What the fuck was that? I ask. What? All that shit about being so nervous about this meeting and you didn't do anything, you just threw it to me. I figured you know your designs better than I do, she says, a frown on her face, eyebrows pulled low. Which is fine if you would have told me that I'd be presenting the ideas. I was not prepared, Misa. My hands clench into my fists at my sides as I try to keep my voice low. Well then, that was some of the best spur of the moment bullshitting I've ever seen. You should be in sales. Why are you so angry? They loved it. Because if you planned on having me do all the talking on the biggest account in the history of this agency, then you should have given me some goddamned warning.
Okay, we're gonna have to go microphone-less for the rest of this because I just lost a ton of footage. I literally finished it and like a bunch of the audio was not working, and I just want to get this done because I'm so close. Okay, so Misa doesn't understand why Penny's upset, but she's acting like super weird. So it's really stupid because Penny doesn't get to really, like, she can be mad about it all she wants, but Misa is her boss. Misa was in control of the project. Like, notice would have been nice, but artists have to defend their work all the time. It's really stupid. It's also really clear to me that Chad is blackmailing Misa. Like, duh. obviously. Penny then takes off of work without permission, which I do not understand. That's not how things work. Chapter 17, Misa's dad in a flashback sees them sleeping together. They fell asleep while studying. He is really mad because he's from the land of Yuri and he understands that they're gay. He doesn't like it, so he makes Penny leave. He's yelling in Japanese, whatever. Penny is filling up balloons at the center. They're gonna have like this queer prom. I don't really know what age group these fucking kids are, but whatever. A girl Penny doesn't know comes up to her and says she's disappointed about the center closing, and Penny tells her that they're gonna fix it. She has done literally nothing that we've seen materially, so this is factually untrue. Also, it's getting closer and closer to closing down. It's not good to give these kids false hope. Right? Ross asks how Penny's doing again. Penny's like, bitches be crazy, except she literally says women are crazy, and it just feels like this author writes lesbian main characters as coho male leads. Gross. They still go over yet again that his savings are not up for debate, like he can't use them. He asks if she's heard anything from Misa. Misa hasn't been answering her texts. She asks if Chad got to her. Why isn't Misa like working with me so that we can fight against him together? It seems she finally used her brain and connected that Chad is probably blackmailing Misa. Ross and Penny hug it out. They continue redecorating the center for queer prom. They get home. Penny decides drinking is the best idea and grabs some wine. Penny looks at the drying rack and there's a bunch of dildos. I'm not reading this shit. It's really stupid. It's kind of like that scene in Better Than Chocolate where there's like sex toys everywhere. It's kind of like that, but she makes fun of Ross and Rachel for having matching dicks. I don't know. It's really stupid. Rachel comes over and Penny says something disgusting about the dress that was Rachel's mom that she's wearing to prom, about how Rachel's mom probably lost her V card in it. Disgusting. Gross. You're a sicko. Continues to still be mad at Misa because, like, of course romance is 90% stewing about the person you're romantically into. They all go to queer prom. The kids are having a great time. Ross tells Penny what a great job she did for organizing it. Like, he wasn't literally helping and doing stuff, but we have to be reminded that Penny is a saint. She is missing Misa. What else is new? Ross feels bad for Penny dealing with all the stuff. I don't, because she's a grown woman and she did this to herself. Ross once again reiterates that Rachel is a keeper. Well, we already knew that. Good for them. He then decides to give her a pep talk saying that, like, she'll find the one too, because we can't just be happy for Ross. We have to ease Penny's bruised ego because everything's about Penny. They then decide to go out to dinner after the prom, like her and all her friends. She's actually having a good time, but did the author write about any of that good time? Did we actually get to see any of it? Did we get to feel any of the camaraderie? No. We didn't get to see any of that because only a couple of sentences in is when she says that she's happy, right? And she doesn't show it. And Misa is there at the restaurant with her not fiance. And he goes to the washroom because she's upset, obviously. And then she runs into Misa's dad. He's not happy to see her. They actually have like a good conversation for once where Penny is like, is she actually happy though? Like, do you care that she's happy? Have you ever asked? And then like she pieces out. It kind of would have been nice to see her have more actual meaningful conversations with the supposed love of her life, but whatever. We're back in 8th grade, but this flashback doesn't matter, so I'm going to skip it. Penny goes to work Monday, and Andrea is like, you're off the Delgado account. She tells Penny that Misa requested a different designer to handle the end materials. Penny's upset because she's like, I thought the chef was happy, and she's like, he is, but it's Misa. Misa said she would leave the agency if Penny wasn't reassigned. This is unrealistic because these coworkers would not be telling her, at least not at work. Like, they might send her a sneaky text, but they wouldn't be telling her at work. They would make up a reason as to why she can't continue on this project, but whatever, because they wouldn't want workplace animosity. Whatever, it doesn't even matter. I'm just trying to speed through this. I lost the last few chapters. I'm so mad. Andrea is like, you accept this or you're being let go. Those are the options. So obviously Penny has to accept it. Andrea's like, I don't know why she changed her mind, but I really want you on staff because I think you're very talented. And Penny's like, well, is there anything I can do to fix this? And Andrea's like, no, and you should probably avoid Misa for now. Which, fair, yeah. One of the designers comes to see if she's okay. She's like, not really. I'd kind of like to kick some of the people in this office into a shark tank, which again, I'm literally sounding like a broken record, but you would land up in HR. You would be in HR. This is like not a good idea. Penny just keeps sounding like a misogynist. Like anytime she's upset with Misa, she immediately defaults to misogyny. It's really stupid. I really hate it. Also, again, getting kicked off of the account doesn't have anything to do with Misa's gender. So Penny then assaults Chad when he comes up to her and starts threatening her. She like kicks him in the nuts, which was a super smart thing to do to someone who was blackmailing her and also blackmailing the girl you're in love with. I mean, good for her. Chad deserved it. He was being creepy. He was trying to touch her, but also she like threatens him with the queer community, and I don't think any of them would show up, except that everyone in the universe seems to be equally annoying in this book, so maybe they would. Maybe I'm wrong. Penny goes home angry. She goes over everything to Ross in detail. He's like, oh man, I'm sorry. And then she changes the subject to ask about Rachel. Rachel is great still. We get it. Ross asks about an update on the center, but she can't even find like a lead of where to go to get help. This came out in 2023. She should have been on TikTok posting about it constantly, smearing the landlord everywhere, because like this is like ridiculous. She's been trying to contact like big businesses, but that's like an archaic way of fundraising. This author could have kept the drama going by being like, yeah, we're posting all the time on TikTok, but the GoFundMe just isn't where it needs to be, and it still would have kept the drama going, and we would have known that she was doing something real and tangible and something that made sense for the times. But why bother with that? Someone knocks on the door. It's Misa. Penny drops her glass. Ross picks up the glass because he picks up all of her messes. Ross is all like, do you want Misa to come in? And she's like, no, yes, no, fine. Misa tries to talk to her about the situation again, but Penny has literally no empathy for Misa the second Misa isn't doing exactly what Penny thinks she should be doing. Penny thinks the only way to handle things is by being angry and assaulting people. Misa is afraid. She's afraid because Chad said he was going to physically assault Penny and ruin both of their professional lives. He has photographic evidence, which Penny did not know about but now does, of the two of them fooling around because they could not stop fooling around at the office. Penny doesn't care about anyone but herself. If she cared about Misa at all, she would have used common sense and not started fucking her at work. They would have like gone to Penny's apartment. She would have figured out a way for them to be together without Misa's dad having to know. But it's all about her and her ego and how she feels all the time. She says she cares about Misa, but she is guilty of saying things about how much she cares of Misa but not showing it, which is what she accuses Misa of doing. Oh my god. Chapter 19, the flashback is kind of stupid and not important. It just reinforces things we already know about Misa's dad. We're skipping it. In the present, Penny doesn't have any clean clothes and she's freaking out about it. Ross is like, you have to wash your clothes more often. And she's like, I'm really good at stretching them between things. I just know she was the disgusting, smelly white person that everyone wanted to stay away from while she was traveling. She's back at work. She hears Misa and Jet talking in the supply closet. It's their anniversary. Misa's like, I don't want to go out to lunch with you just because your dad reminded me. And he's like, well, I don't really know what we're doing because this is the first time I've ever been in a fake relationship with a lesbian. And she's like, I know you want out of this too, shut the hell up. Penny runs away so that they don't see her eavesdropping, obviously. Misa comes into the break room where Penny is. They don't really talk. There's not a lot. They're just kind of Misa then tries to talk to Penny and Penny's like, happy anniversary. Like, girl, you did this to yourself. You went after someone you knew was in the closet and was supposedly engaged. She thought you were engaged. You were fine with cheating because you literally, you were okay with cheating because you literally just pointed at someone you knew when you were 14 and said, that one. On Thursday, I don't know if it's the same day or what time it is, Penny comes home from work. Ross is working out because he's stressed about the center, probably because Penny hasn't fucking done anything. They have until midnight tomorrow to extend the contract and another year's worth of rent in full. Penny jokes about chaining herself to something. Ross is like, don't do that. I'll have to bail you out of fucking jail. She's like, it wouldn't be the first time. Penny crime counter going up. Penny takes a shower and wants to watch a Julia Roberts movie. I think she should spend more time on actually trying to save the center instead of pretending she's done everything she can, but that would be too smart. Misa texts her and Penny's like, you're all talk. I just want like action or something. And I'm like, stop throwing rocks in glass houses. You don't even act on the things that really matter. Just because you can kick Chad in the nuts doesn't mean that you are the executive of taking action. Again, what have you done for the center? or for your friends or anyone who isn't yourself. You've never had a real hardship a day in your life, but you pretend that you do. Oh my God, when will this nightmare end? Penny then thinks about whether she would give Misa a second chance, and she's like, I don't want to be anybody's dirty little secret, when we all know she's going to take her back in a heartbeat. And I'm actually going to read that scene to you. That's the only scene I'm probably going to read because we need to wrap this up. I don't understand why she's acting like a victim. You're not a victim because Misa doesn't want to lose her dad by coming out. Think about someone other than yourself. Chapter 20, we get a flashback again, but it's basically Penny's mom being like, it hurts so much that Misa's gone because she was your first love, you little lesbian. Yay, a straight woman telling their queer kid what their identity is. Talk Valentina, ally. It's now Friday, they're enjoying that breakfast at work, woo. Penny is bitter about Juan working on the Delgado account. There's a mandatory 9:30 meeting with the CEO because he wants one. Everyone gets into the conference room. The meeting is to announce that Misa is being promoted to Vice President of Sales and Marketing. Good for her. At least she gets something out of this. Rupert is about to move on, but instead we get Misa interrupting to address Penny in front of everyone. I am actually going to read this one because it's ridiculous, and when I was reading it the first time, I was laughing. I have something else to say, Misa interrupts. My eyes stay on her, but I see the blurred movement of Rupert's shocked face. Penny, she says. The entire room of people turns to find me. I can feel their eyes on me, the thinner air with their breaths held in their chests. She steps forward now, pressed against the opposite side of the table. I've been awful to you, she says. Murmurs break out among our coworkers as my mouth drops open. I force it closed and stay focused on her. I know everything is a shitstorm right now, but I need you to know that I fell in love with you when I was 14 years old, and again a few days ago. There's a collective gasp in the room. I stand now, needing to be closer to her, but there's no way through. You were tattooed on my skin, on my heart, she continues. Even though I remain silent, every head in the room volleys back and forth between us like they're watching the best tennis match ever played. I can't pretend anymore. I don't want to. You are more than I deserve, but I'll never stop loving you. I never really did. Me either, I answer. Fuck it, Misa says, stepping onto Rupert's empty chair and climbing on top of the enormous conference table. I grin and crawl onto the table as well, thankful I wore pants today. We both get to our feet and stand above everyone else, only seeing each other. I'm here, she says, taking a step toward me. I do the same, telling you that I want you, only you, no matter what it costs. We meet in the middle of the table, and I can see everyone watching, stunned into silence, seeing a side of this woman that they didn't believe existed, but I knew it all along. I want you, Penny. I want to fall asleep with you and wake up to that face and wild red hair. I want to be the reason you smile. I want to get lost in your sense of adventure. As terrifying as that sounds, I want us to belong to each other like we always have, but I want it on your terms, proud and out loud and for the world to see. Misa places a hand on the side of my face, and I lean into her touch because here I am, moving through life like it's a series of short-term goals and calculated moves, but I never factored you in. I don't want to do any of this without you. I'm sorry I hurt you, she says softer. I'm sorry that I ruined us. She bites her bottom lip now as my hands go to her waist and pull her body against me. You haven't ruined us, I say. Her mouth crushes against mine in the most public display of affection she's ever experienced. And the way she's sighing and grasping at my shoulders, I know she doesn't care. After a few seconds, our foreheads press together as we exchange tiny smiles and labored breaths. A clap breaks us out of our bliss, followed by another. Before we know it, the entire room is cheering us on. Misa laughs as my hand reaches for hers, and I squeeze to let her know we will face whatever comes together. We turn to Rupert and take a bow. Misa leads me to his end of the table and hops down. She grabs my waist and helps me to the floor, too. I think that the author thought that this scene was giving 10 Things I Hate About You with the marching band and Heath Ledger. It was not. Also, I cannot believe the CEO doesn't care about whatever the fuck this just was. But this has to wrap up. Picture perfect, right? Ryan wants all the hot goss, same, he is me, I am him, and admits he was into Miguel, who was a chef at one of Chef Delgado's restaurants. It's not that important, they were hooking up. I'm pretty sure they're the couple in book 2, doesn't matter. I think we're supposed to see Penny and Misa and Ryan hanging out together as wholesome, but I'm just tired of whatever this is. And I was right, and Penny gave Misa a second chance immediately. I was right. No, thankfully this time Penny invites Misa over after work instead of them fucking in the office again. They're like, what are we going to do about Chad? He's not working today, probably because Penny popped a ball. Ross calls Penny about the center. He went over there. The doors are already locked. The landlord admitted that he wants to sell the building for apartments. That was pretty obvious to me. Again, all landlords are bastards. Penny tells Ross she really tried. He says, I know, which is a load of horseshit. Penny then tells Misa about the center closing. The office is alive with the sound of gossip. Because, yeah, that was crazy. I would be talking mad shit with my coworkers if I had to see that in a meeting, and I would text my wife about it also. Juana's like, why did she remove you from the account then? And Penny won't answer because she's supposed to be cool. Andrea calls Penny into her office, and Rupert is in there. She asks if she's being fired. They're like, as long as Misa is not your direct supervisor, it doesn't interfere with your work, and you guys don't fuck on the premises, we literally couldn't give a shit. Which is lucky for them, except for the part where Chad has evidence of them actually doing stuff at the office. Chapter 21. We get pulled back to the only summer together. It really doesn't matter. She gets a journal. Woo. Penny threatens someone. Oh my god, it's the guy who tells her to smile. That's who she threatens when she's on the way home. Kind of fair, but also the crime counter keeps going up. Penny gets back, and Misa in there. Ross and Rachel are bummed. Jen and Asher are the other friends that are barely mentioned, and they're there too. Also, where's Evan? Wasn't he one of them? Whatever. They're all here because they got a call from Misa, who was like, come here, let me talk to you guys. And she saved the day by having her ex, who's in real estate, get a new place that's bigger for the center. And she called Chef Delgado, who decided to donate 5 years worth of rent for the center, like out of his own pocket. So she saved everybody. And she did it in less than like a couple hours, which is way more than Penny ever did. Insane. Penny's like, why did you do it? Misa's like, because it's important to you, so it's important to me. And Misa was a real superhero and made it look super easy. So again, I'm just side-eyeing the fuck out of Penny. Penny is going to get her own office, which doesn't make sense because she's a volunteer. And I don't think that's how nonprofits work because my wife worked at one for a long time. They talk about what fundraising they're going to do. Everyone is going to celebrate except for Penny and Misa, who need to talk, so they go back to the apartment. Misa and Jet had a big talk, and we get to hear the tea that Jet was actually in love with his mother's best friend and has been since like high school. They've been hooking up since he graduated high school, which is actually super concerning, but no one seems to be concerned about the grooming for some reason because Jet doesn't matter. Misa also tells Penny that she told her dad and he didn't take it very well. He said that he wanted her to be happy and he kind of knew Penny was inevitable. I think that if he hadn't made it a forbidden romance, Misa and Penny would have fooled around a little bit, and then Misa and Penny would have realized that they are not it for each other because they're not compatible, and Misa would have gone on to better, sexier women. They then talk about how to deal with Chad. He doesn't know because he wasn't there, and he probably, according to them, doesn't have any friends at the office, so it's not likely he's going to know till Monday, and so they're going to figure out what they're going to do. I'm a lesbian, Misa says, trying out the word on her tongue. The expression on her face is made of an imagined future of girl-on-girl PDAs and using the word queen regularly. I'm gay, a big old queer, a carpet muncher, a dyke, a homo, a shrub scout, vegetarian, a clam jammer, cunny bunny, a lesbitarian. Late in life lesbians, she's 28, so it's not that late, but still, are super valid. I just don't know why we had to say it this way. They confess to being in love again, and then they go to Penny's room to bone. Thankfully, it's not described, so I don't have to tell you about it. Chapter 22, we're finally here. The last flashback is a journal entry on the last day of 9th grade. Misa wasn't there for it, so it's basically all about how Penny misses her. In the present, they spent the whole weekend together. How nice for them. They did the good old lesbian, have lots of sex, and then talk about our trauma in between. I think that there should have been more of this, like on that week where they were in California together, so that we could have actually seen their relationship and developed it, but it's too late for that now. They have started planning some trips so that Misa can go on trips with Penny to experience the world like Penny, but Penny doesn't plan the budgeting. Misa does, because of course she does. Penny is useless. Chad shows up at work and is pissed off, obviously. I'm not gonna bother. He's like threatening them again. He's such a cartoon villain, it's not even interesting. Penny goes to tell Rupert to get Chad fired by telling him that Chad could mar the reputation of the company. She tells him about the blackmailing and that he wanted to have sex with her. Yes, sir, he wanted to have sex with me. You know, the horizontal tangle, fourth base, bumping uglies. Like, I wish she would shut the hell up. It just so happens that Chad had set up a meeting with Rupert anyways. Rupert is just gonna let Chad talk because he doesn't know that everybody knows about their relationship yet. Penny tells Lisa that Chad is going to get fired. I think that that's a little presumptuous when one of the conditions to your continued employment was for you not to have sex at the office, and Chad has tangible proof, but go off. Security comes to get Chad out of here. Penny mocks him. Chad tries to attack her at work because, yeah, Misa warned you about that, you idiot. Why can't it be enough that he was fired, you loser? Chad then threatens her with the old, this ain't over. Penny tells Rupert that he tried to attack her unprovoked, which we know isn't strictly true. Everyone is surprised that Chad went nuts because he was so quiet or whatever. She gossips a little with them, and then she texts her mom, and she wants her mom to bring her boyfriend, remember that date, right, to hang out with her and Misa. She ends with saying, life is so good. Conclusion. We finally fucking did it. This one took forever. I had to refilm this stupid portion. It makes me so angry. This book was just filled to the brim with problems. I think if the author hadn't tried to make it a rom-com, I would have rated it higher. There was not a single funny thing said in this entire book. And maybe if Penny hadn't been an insufferable manic pixie dream girl, I would have liked this book better. It also just felt like the other characters weren't real people, like their own people. They were just an accessory for Penny and Penny's story. I gave this book a 1 out of 5 on Storygraph. If you made it this far, leave how many crimes you think were committed in this book. Please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, let me know how many crimes you think, right? It was a really fun time making this video, even though I had some technical difficulties, and I really hope to see you guys next Friday. Bye!